G'day, good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm XQ. Welcome to the Inforunners, and I'm joined today by SpaceTech. Oh shit, I did that
Hey,
wrong. That's Algared, not SpaceTech. And SpaceTech is our special guest. I have not woken up
Voice
yet.
in the void.
Yeah, it's beginning early this month. This year. I'm getting to that sleep deprived state already. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've only had 3 hours sleep. I just
Yep.
couldn't get to sleep.
I was the same. I don't know whether it was just the heat of yesterday
Mm.
and then that cool change that came through. I just couldn't sleep, and so I'm feeling really sleep deprived as well.
You're gonna hit me.
And
You're gonna hit me, Algared. I was up playing Witcher Old World till midnight. So.
yeah, but I also think the other thing that's making it feel worse is the fact that this is our second week where we've got that extra early start because of daylight savings.
Yeah, we still haven't got kicked it into gear yet. So yeah, just so you guys are aware, we're now getting up at 5 a.m. instead of the regular 6 a.m. So, starting at 5 a.m. for us. So we actually get up. Well, I get up about 20 minutes earlier. So, and then Algared comes about 5 minutes later, but that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's at the point where I'm functioning. So,
yep. And I clearly wasn't functioning because the reason we're starting a little late is we didn't get SpaceTech up and running properly because I wasn't thinking in all cylinders yet. So anyway. Right. So, had a few people in the comments of the last video that me and Algared did unpromptly. When was that, Algared? Tuesday, Monday? Holy shit. It's all been a blur.
Wednesday, I think. Wednesday.
That we did on the buyer's guide for the F8 Lightning or the F8C Lightning. Because I said that they promised that they were never going to sell it. Now that was my recollection. We went for I did go for a look, but it was actually SpaceTech that found a video. Do you want to tell people what you found, Space? And then we'll go have a look at it?
Yeah, it was an older video. I think it's about 5-ish years old now, where Chris Roberts is talking about whether or not they plan, like when people can get access to the F8C. And in not as many words, he basically talks about how they really do want to gate it behind Squadron 42. And so, yeah, you can see the specifics of it here in this video.
Right. Do you have a timestamp from whereabouts?
If you just hit play, it should take you straight to the timestamp, I think.
Right.
The link I sent you should have a timestamp.
There we go. Hang on, I'm just turning certain things off and on. There we go. Cool. Right. Timestamped. Here we go. Right. Trusting SpaceTech. Here we go. Ooh.
Not Concierge at a very high level. You'll still be able to get the F8C. You just will have to have played Squadron far enough along, kind of near the end. It's sort of a little bit like Wing Commander, where you move up in flying different ships as you get a little further on. And if you do that, you'll earn the badge. And I think this probably relates to another question that you have down here. And it will enable you to be able to purchase that in the PU after you've completed Squadron. So the idea is essentially Squadron has to come out, and then it will be available, and then you can either earn it by playing Squadron all the way through, or where as a thank you to some of the people that have really helped us make this game, develop it, really supported it on an incredibly enthusiastic level. Yes. We wanted to do a couple of nice things to say thank you, because I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here having this discussion. We wouldn't be building the game that we're building. We won't build a Squadron to the level that we're building it to without the incredibly enthusiastic support. So, that's kind of the idea of actually the Concierge program, is that the people that sort of, really, I don't know whether I say all in, but are more enthusiastic, or I mean, everyone should, like whether it's you're just getting a basic ship or you're doing a lot more, everything's appreciated, and it's enabling us to do what we're doing, and no one needs to do anything more than the very basic ship. But for the people that sort of go above and beyond, we want to have like a couple of fun things for them, a couple of items that you definitely. It's kind of like a bit more sort of cool and flary, not necessarily something you can only get if you're that, because like I said, you'll be able to earn the F8C by completing Squadron and getting to the point where you actually get to fly an F8A in the game.
Exactly. So that's a good follow-up point there. This is the F8C that we're talking about, similar to the Hornet F7C. The F8 that folks have been wondering about for the last several years is equivalent to the F7A. It's a military-grade ship that's strictly for Squadron.
So it's, I mean, it's not the A like the new F7A, which if you play Squadron, you'll also get an opportunity to earn the badge for, and then potentially get one of those in the persistent universe, but there's, you know, they have military grade equipment, which is a notch above some of the civilian grade equipment. So the Cs, whether it's the Hornet C or the F8C, they're still pretty awesome ships, but they don't quite have the sort of higher grade, more durable equipment that the military A version does. That's not to say in the game that you couldn't potentially figure out a way to get one or get the equipment to upgrade your ship to get there, but that's sort of, you know, they don't sell the military grade stuff, you know, on the show floor.
Right. And the last question I saw about this, the concierge perks, the things that are being awarded for our Wing Commander and Legatus, are those the opportunity to buy the ship, like completing Squadron 42, or is that actually getting the ship?
No, they get the ship.
They get the ship.
They get the ship.
They get the ship.
At that level, thank you, you can have a ship.
Okay.
But yeah, no, so all the items in the concierge setup, starting with the top hat and going through the guns and the suits and stuff, are all rewarded. In fact, I think if you log in now as a concierge member, you will be, because the website went live, you'll actually get your you know, flare items on your account. And I've even seen some screenshots already where people are in the suit or running around with one of the one of the guns. The monocle at this exact instant isn't supported, but I believe in the patch that we're going to do pre 3.1, where we just want to fix some quality of life issues, the monocle will also be enabled. But you can put a top hat on, I believe, right now.
Yes,
so I'm sure we'll see some pictures of that.
Yes, the current concierge uniform I've seen people adopting is the gold Venture armor with the top hat poking out from the top of it right now. So I've seen a number of people.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have to fix some of the rules for what things you can and can't put on with the helmets. I've noticed that people can put a baseball cap and put a helmet on, but yeah, those are logged in our database and as part of all the things that we're busily working on fixing.
Yes. All right. So the first question from the live chat also mirrors the top voted question on the thread. So we're gonna go right to this. Will Squadron 42 let the player be a female character?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that immediately strikes out to me is the fact that at the beginning, when he was describing what happens when you finish Squadron 42, he says the ability to purchase it in the PU. Now, whether that means on the pledge store or inside the persistent universe, I think is arguable.
Yeah, I think it means, and I can kind of see the clarification there. I guess the assumption always made that I had was that it was going to be purchasable inside the PU. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's recollections.
Yeah, and I think the differentiation is the key thing that they'd said was it would be available after Squadron 42.
Yeah,
I'd always taken the view, and I think on the video I said my view is that it would be available purchase, and I took that as in store.
Yeah.
Whether it's in store or not in store, that was the key point, and I think that was the thing. Your point was really they said it would be available after Squadron 42, not available now. And as I tried to say in the video, I would have preferred, looking back, I would have preferred it just stayed for Squadron 42, and not even been made a concierge award.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day,
as gorgeous and beautiful as that executive edition is, and I'm so glad I've got one because it is so lovely.
Look, at the end of the day, they can do whatever they want, but this, to me, is probably, I think the first time I felt like they ever broke a promise was with the Scythe, and I still feel that this is kind of up there with that. If maybe they should have clarified it better in the beginning or whatever, but like I said, like it felt like they said that they were, like it says it in the video, like that they won't do this before Squadron 42, and I don't have Squadron 42. Do you have Squadron 42, Algared? Are you telling me something I don't know? Or something like that? Are there people that have Squadron 42? Yeah. SpaceTech, do you have Squadron 42? So at the end of the day, it's just, it's still a broken promise. Like any way you look at it, like no matter what I say, like, and at the end of the day, I am just trying to recall what I remember, right? So yeah, I'm a human, I can be wrong, and I'll obviously from what I've heard there, I'm debatable whether I'm right or wrong, but I'll say I'm wrong in this case, right? So the part though that they do say in their own video is that we wouldn't get it until after Squadron 42. So to me, they've still broken a promise.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is that like having access to a ship like gated by something that you do as part of a video game, to me, is a great thing. I think the more things that we make exclusive to actually playing the game, the better. I talk about this briefly in my video about it, but even when it comes to the paint that's exclusive to the event in game, I like that. I think things that you can achieve only by playing the game and not by swiping your credit card are things to be celebrated. And so even if you, let's say, locked the Concierge versions behind actually finishing like that part of Squadron 42, personally, I'm not Concierge, so I know it wouldn't affect me at all, but I think that would still be great for them because it feels like then you earned something. You didn't just like pay enough money to get it. You actually went out and you earned it.
I wouldn't be surprised if the person behind this is not somehow linked to the person behind the Cutlass Steel. Put it that way.
As much as I would have liked it to have remained a Squadron 42 thing, as I said, I'd have preferred the Scythe was what was made available because it's again another ship that is really tied to Squadron 42. But it was a plan, and plans change, and if Squadron is as close as I believe it is. And I really do believe that we'll be seeing it within the next year. I fully expect, that that's the case. Then releasing it now just really, I think, just feeds into that hype. And so, if it's helping draw people back into the game, if it's helping do that, I can cope. But it would have been nice for it to just remain as that Squadron 42 thing. That's certainly my view.
Did you actually go in the game and get a golden ticket, Algared?
No.
What's the point? He says.
No, it's not a matter.
It's kind of half. I just know a new Vita Pokemon person that you go in and complete your trio, so you had all three versions of the FF8 Lightning.
My question to you, Execute. We recorded it on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And I work.
Yeah. I know. Hey.
Yeah, and the platinum version is next to impossible to be quite frank. Like it's probably by design. You don't want to be giving away a bunch of
if Expat's listing, she's losing her goddamn mind over it because it's just a skin she can't get. She's got So if Algared's like Pokemon for ships, she's like Pokemon for skins. And she
I thought that's like you as well. Now, Execute, you need to start. You do need to start the bot.
Yeah, I am not a Pokemon for skins though. I just like the best one. But she's got to have every rare skin. So yeah.
Oh yes, that's true. Yes. You are a skin aficionado.
I will just grab the best one. I don't grab all of them. So yeah.
But you do buy them all initially to test them.
Yes.
And then go, no.
Yeah, then I just meld them back into credit. I've got the credit sitting there, so why not use it?
I'm the same way though. I definitely feel like I want to collect this skin, but I just know that the likelihood is basically zero. I spent, I think it was 4 or 5 hours straight just hopping servers yesterday.
Yep.
And I didn't run into one dev, not even one. So it's just the odds are so minuscule. There's hardly a point at this rate, I think.
All right. Well, we've got no questions coming through on the bot, so this stream's about to end. No, but please get your questions in, because if that's how this stream works. That's how it's always worked. Generally, it'll end after 3 hours or when we run out of questions. So,
and since there's no ISC, man, this is going to be a very quick one.
Yeah.
I can go back to bed. Awesome.
Very short stream. So, we do have one other thing that we do want to go over. Obviously, the Hunters on. I really wish that there had been. This could have been a really cool event, but I had this gut feeling that there was just not going to be a lot of devs in Australia, and I've been on. I haven't seen any devs. I've heard apparently devs being on is like a rare thing. So
apparently there was a dev on last night at 9:30 p.m.
Okay.
Their position is not broadcast to everyone.
Yep.
Apparently.
That's fine.
That once someone takes the platinum ticket off them, then it is
the best way to find a dev is to hit F11, and then you can scroll through the list of people in global chat. and then you see underscore CIG or hyphen CIG anywhere. And then, so like what I was doing was I was hopping regions, and then I would hop through every region, and then I would hop through every person on my friends list, which was like 40 or 50 people online. And so, yeah, it really came down to like the people you saw for sure getting access to devs were streamers, not because of any, backdoor deals, but rather they just have a lot of people in their community who can also be searching at the same time and then join on them. So that seems to be the best way to find a dev.
All right,
find a streamer first.
So yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully, I'd love them to. It sounds like a really good mode, because it sounds a lot like Hunt Showdown, as we kind of said, and that would have been. It's a really good environment to test something like that. Hunting someone through the verse, I can see how all the emergent gameplay would work. It'd be really cool. But this is the last piece that me and Algared wanted to share with you. It's a bit more evidence of Squadron 42, or at least something to be shown off. I'll let you guys decide for yourselves. But obviously, the C to be announced on the map is the most intriguing part of this. But me and Algared noticed down here the sponsors. And me and Algared were talking about this, and we looked it up. And the very first one, you don't need to lean over. No, you're right. You don't need to lean anywhere, Algared. So just there under SpaceTech, you'll see that there's got Asus with the Rogue, VKB, Toby, and the very first one was the one that took our fancy. We were like, well, who the hell are these guys? I've never seen that logo before. And after a little, very simple bit of Googling for their name, you can literally, hang on, I'm doing some stuff in the background here. This is what comes up. So I'll just open this in the browser so you can all see. They're a computer manufacturer or computer build supply company. So these are the people obviously supplying computers for Area C. They're not listed in any booth. So therefore, by process of elimination, they have that area is a bunch of computers at the very least. Oops, I just kicked something. Sorry. But yeah, Algared, do you want to say anything to that effect, or
just they're a computer company that does builds, and they'll be supplying builds. I wouldn't be surprised if they after CitizenCon they have a Star Citizen.
I have to move you, Algared, just so people can see the logo. There we go.
Just the
it's the only place I can. It's the only place I can find it on the website. Sorry, Algared. You can just fly all over the shop while we talk. All right.
Yeah, but just the pessimist in me makes me think that this isn't actually going to be a setup of a bunch of PCs on the floor, just because I do know that they've worked with Atmo Esports in the past, and their involvement with them was like raffling away or giving away a set of PCs. I wouldn't be surprised to see something similar at CitCon, but I may just be being pessimistic.
We've heard multiple rumors from people, and I've seen people in other people's chats saying they've heard from devs and stuff that there is going to be 40 plus computers there. That said, that as you did allude to, there is an area on the floor for Atmo Esports over here for fight or flight. So yes, it could definitely be those computers over there as well. I'll give you that. But yeah, just something I wanted to bring up. But man, an area that big. Like, look at it. It dwarfs it's bigger than the lounge and every booth combined. That's a massive area. Like, it's huge.
Gears of War confirmed?
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm expecting. There's definitely something playable there, right? Someone supplied something there. So we'll see.
My gut feeling says that will be, a playthrough of one of the missions, one of the side missions of Squadron or something like that. That's my gut. Or it could be, a relaunch of Theatres of War. But my feeling says it's still under so much wrap. But I go for Squadron. That's
as we said. I need to go up and get this too as well. Which one? This one. So this is from when I linked it to you earlier in the week, Algared. So obviously you've got the schedule as well. Yep. The one thing that the big glaring omission, God, I didn't open this properly. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. It's going to download it again.
The thing that really does stand out is that on the schedule is day 1 versus day 2.
Yeah.
That big.
I have a cat in my way here, so bear with me. I'm trying to get around said cat to open. Why are you in the way, cat? Right, hang on. Open with.
The big empty hole.
There we go. No, I'm just trying to open it so you guys can see. Right, so yeah, there's a massive empty hole here on the first day, which is around about 3 hours long, and people have argued blue in the teeth because there's also I also made a graphic about it. if you actually zoom in on the 7 o'clock, which I don't think I can do on the browser, but it's behind my head, right? The 7 o'clock, wait, oh, chair in the way. Right, so where this 7 o'clock is here, if you actually zoom in, just above it, there's a mistake in black, and I'll try and do it sorry, Kat. Try and do it here so you can see it. But it is very faint. And people have come out and said, oh, it's just a mistake. I don't know if, man, it's not going to come through on video. It's just above Algared's head. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that space on the video or not?
Yeah.
So it's very, it's very faint, right? But it shows that there's something there that they've removed. Now you can argue, oh, they removed it, blah, blah, blah. Why was it there to begin with? That's my whole takeaway. And again, look at where the venue closes on the second day, literally straight after the closing ceremony. Why is there a 3-hour gap? This would be all the way up here, right? And that ends at 5:30. This ends at 7 o'clock. This is later. So even if it was here, I'd then believe it a bit more. But a 3-hour block of nothing? Sorry, like you can say I'm copium, but like that don't add up to me.
No.
What are you meant to do here for 3 hours?
Is a long time.
Yeah, if it was half an hour, I wouldn't be questioning it. But like 3 hours, like that's insane. That's longer than the doors are open.
And even if I was saying it is mingle time, you'd expect that it to be brought out saying, hey, this is mingle time, this is hangout time, this is whatever time. I know when we were first talking about it, I was saying, look, it's just the time they're saying closes is probably just the time the centre's closing. But again, you'd expect that position to be right underneath where, following that formatting. So it does feel like something was there and has been hidden because it's something they want to be a surprise.
And schedule-wise, that lines up with where Chris Robertson, and I always forget the guy's name, but Tyra, I can't remember his first name, talked. They talked for ages last year. So that's what I'm expecting, that type of thing. That'll be the keynote, essentially,
Yeah.
Now, what that is, I'm not going to...
Don't know what it is.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, but Space, what are your expectations? Yeah. That's actually the episode we're going to do this weekend, by the way, is what we expect from CitizenCon. It's our usual week before show on CitizenCon, so we're going to sit down and kind of go through and tell you what we're going to expect then. But what are you expecting, Space?
Yeah, I think the way I'm looking at it is that like I like to keep my own expectations as low as possible, so I'm never disappointed.
That's good.
So the way I'm looking at it is like, you know what, maybe that's when Fight or Flight happens. That's when you go through, talk to sponsorships and booths and stuff like that. Yep. The only thing that also I think is a little bit confusing to me, if it was actually meant to be something that they're half hiding, half not, is why would Jake explicitly come out and say anything about it instead of just like, being coy about it, like putting a little like shush emoji or, just being a little bit like faster and looser about it. If they are trying to hint something, why not just go all the way and hint it instead of like coming out explicitly and saying, you know what, no, that was a typo, like explicitly. I don't know. I mean, I'm hardly a marketing genius, but
and I don't know if
it's a little confusing to me.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this very much looks like it's a page from a book. You know how they print out the schedule in a book or something like that for people, the attendees and stuff like that. I'm fully expecting this to be in that at some point, and so other pages will be talking about the vehicles and stuff like that.
Without the editing, so yes. Yep. And hey, Division, how are you? Lovely to see you here. But yeah, interesting. Division does say in the YouTube chat, asked him chat why they didn't make the correction, and his answer was an emoji.
Yeah.
So,
look,
whether it is or not, just looking at that, it looks like it's the type of thing as a teacher I'd be picking a student up saying, hey, correct this if I was marking in our assignment. So
and just the way it was shut down so hard so quickly. But man, I actually, when I made the image, when I made Algared with that zoomed in and kind of showed you, I posted that on Reddit. Man, I had like 10 posts within 20 minutes, like white knighting the shit out of it, and just like absolutely roasting me. So I just removed the post. I'm like, Reddit's just become so toxic. It's literally Spectrum 2.0 now. So I'm just not going to sit there and debate people. You believe what you want to believe. Like I like again, after this now second of distrust, I no longer take CIG exactly at what they say, you know, and I consider myself fairly white knightish compared to most people, but you know, if I just the trust gets eroded when they change certain things like that. So yeah. All right. Questions,
Sure, too.
Algared.
All right. First question is from Ryan E. Was Algared able to fly his F8C prior, or did that just change? No one was able to fly an F8C prior unless they stole an F8. In fact, no F8C was available prior because I do believe the ones that were being stolen during Invictus were actually F8As, or supposedly F8As. So it has only just changed for everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Corso, I hope you're doing well, man.
I won't ask for anyone else to give an answer to that because it's that's the only answer there is. No one could fly one, and that's just changed. Shempasta has another question. They say, or has a question: do you think CIG should give all 10K players an F8A?
Assumed they had. Or am I mistaken in that?
No, they've given Wing Commander is F8C regular, and
F8Cs, yeah.
then the Legatus is an F8C executive. No.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And that's not to say that, like, you know, CIG shouldn't give Concierge more. Personally, as somebody who's trying to avoid Concierge, I have no dog in the fight, but I still think that I think the rewards are pretty paltry for $10,000 and $15,000. So
yeah,
but at the same time, I think an F8A, like it's fine to lock certain things behind actually playing the game, and I hope the F8A is one of those things.
Sorry, I'm dealing with Google authentication at the moment. Sorry for my inattention. Go ahead, Algared. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I would love to see, you know, an 890 as that type of reward, because, you know, if you're spending that much, why not? But that's just me, you know. It's me, I suppose, showing my elitism and whatever else people want to call it.
No, I think you're completely right. I think getting 10% of 10% back as in the form of a free JPEG for CIG, I think is completely reasonable.
What did you and I work out the other day that I think it's 1%. At $300, it's 1%. Yeah, it's 1%. Yeah, so like that's
nothing. And it's not as if it's lost sales, really. Like, you know,
and if you've reached this point, you've clearly demonstrated that you're not somebody who's like super tight with your wallet, and you'll never buy anything again if you get gifted an 890.
Yeah, even though you say I'm not buying anything else, bend. I find I bend. You know.
Yep.
Thank you, Steel. Thank you for the steel, CIG. Thank you for the steel. That's all I'll say. I'll keep saying that. It has helped cure me of Pokemon syndrome.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I've tried. I failed, but CIG marketing, you did a much better job than I could ever do.
Yeah. Execute has for many years tried to stop me spending more money.
Yeah.
Or spending as much.
I basically try to get him to move stuff around, which is hard to do, obviously, with packs and stuff like that he's got. But yeah, as we always say, a lot of what we learned is from the mistakes we've made, so we pass it on to you guys. So we've taken the hit in hopes that you guys won't take the hit as well. That's essentially why we do what we do, because we don't want buyer's remorse, because at the end of the day, like, you want people to be happy with the purchases that you've purchased, and we foresee a future as more and more of these ships come online. We talked about them quite frequently, like a ship, you know, ship A costs more out of game than it does in game, where the other ship costs less but it's worth more in game. We've given you several examples over the years, and that's going to happen more and more frequency. And it's things like that. We don't want people to come out and go, shit, I'm really pissed off that I brought this ship and for some mysterious reason it just costs more than it should have done. And I think I really wish in ways marketing had just followed the designer's lead, because then there wouldn't be as much of that buyer's remorse. But obviously we're not marketing, and they've gone with people that are traditional marketing people now, and it's not the way the game was originally started. but that's how it is.
Yep.
Yep.
Riddick was making a statement in chat saying, or on YouTube, that 890 executive for Legatus with other awards given to previous tiers. I'm sure lots of backers would like that. I'd like that, but
Fine by me.
I'm at the point that I almost think they need to go back retroactively and actually add in tiers. Like they've got this whole thing, like, you know how they were talking about, and they did talk about before about different concierge levels. So like one at $5,000, 10 grand, 15, 20, like, and basically, so it's not just concierge, like it's now a tiered system of concierge. So it's whatever they end up calling it. And that, I don't know if that's going to eventuate. But the point is, I actually think, realistically, if you actually sit here and go back and look at the rewards, they're pretty pitiful, right? We get a ship at 10 grand, right, or whatever it is. But why isn't there like a vehicle? Why isn't there, a smaller ship? Things like that. Like along the way, it would have been nice to have some incentives. You are spending some insanely large amounts of cash. Like $1,000 should not be a top hat and monocle. Just saying.
Yeah, like you told me you couldn't throw in an STV at $1,000.
Yeah, like a black and gold STV.
That'd be awesome.
And at the end, they're just skins or skins in vehicles. They're digital. They cost you nothing, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, it again, like retroactively, that whole system should go back and they should just fill it full of shit. Like, and I mean, like at every $500. I'm not even kidding. Like there should be something all the way along like that. So yeah, I've got a first time chatter. I'm just going to read that real quick. Algared, if you want to do a question, please. Oh, and thank you, Giant EDM, for the subscription with the Prime. Appreciate it very much. You've only got one of those, and you visited it with us. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Right.
Yep. And I will go back and say, I did mention in chat earlier, but Mongo Mo, thank you. I think it was Mongo Mo. Thank you for that that basic membership on YouTube. Always appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. Shinobi Trip has a question. Selfish take. Honestly, hope the F8C sells well because I want them to release the Mark II Hornet, either F8, F7A or the F7C updated to the Mark II.
Yeah, it's kind of weird like that, because that is something else I think they should do, right? They made a mistake all those years ago with how they sold that. Why wouldn't you just resell it and fix your said mistake? Right? Like, and that's been their approach to mistakes in the past. They just never do it again. It's like, well, we got burned, we'll never touch that again. And just to make everyone clear, when that happened, right, was it came out for one day on Veterans Day, and all the proceeds went to an American
Went to VA.
that went to of just America. And that was the problem. People complained, said, why isn't that multiple veterans from multiple different countries? Like, if I'm from Australia, an example, why doesn't it go to Australian veterans? If I'm from France, why doesn't that go to France veterans? And that's fair enough, right? So why don't they, maybe they just want to deal with that headache of having to figure out where all the money goes, right? Fair enough. But now the company's bigger, I think they'd be able to do that. Or they could at least go, all right, so it goes to these 5 charities and it's split equally, right? Or something like that. Or it could have been a more global military-based charity, right? And that was the problem. So there's no reason that they can't sell that again, and it fixes that black market issue, just kind of like what Algared said about the Scythe. And I firmly believe that they should start selling the Scythe again, but an Xperia one, like Algared said in the video when we talked about it. I think that, like, if they want another boost of cash, there's how you do it. Just Xperia Scythe and F7A upgrades on Veterans Day. And Veterans Day, I believe, is just around the corner, Algared, is it not?
I think Veterans Day for
November?
the Americans is November 11, which
Yeah,
is
it's the same as ours too, yeah.
Same as our Remembrance Day. So certainly for Australia and New Zealand, for us, November 11, the end of World War I is big, mainly because it is the first war where we're in as independent countries, and
So at the end of the day, it sounds like it's too much work, yeah. So that's why they've just not touched it. It's like, well, that means we've got to sit there and work out where all the money goes. So they've just gone, throw their hands up in the air and going, I can't be bothered, too much work. But yeah, it was a really nice gesture, but it rubbed a few people the wrong way because it was only going, again, it's a trend that you see, and I know we've got a large American audience, but you've got to understand this is a global game, and so it needs to be globally approached, and it's something that we see a lot as non-US citizens. And I brought it up this week, the pumpkin carving thing. There are places that don't have pumpkins. How do you do a pumpkin carving competition if you don't have pumpkin? And a lot of people don't celebrate Halloween. It's a US holiday. Like, it's kind of taking off a little bit here in Australia. I don't think it will become a thing, because a lot of the companies here are American based and they're pushing for it. Because if they push for it and people get into Halloween, they make money. But we don't. It's not a holiday here. It wasn't a thing when I was a kid, Algared. I know it wasn't a thing when you were a kid, in 1747. But you get my point, yeah, Algared. There's the
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I will keep. But Algared, there are more and more people here trying to do Halloween, yeah.
Yep. Look, my experience is it certainly seems to become more popular as Filipino community became
Yes.
more prevalent in Australia, and it,
Yeah, because
you know,
they are heavily influenced by the United States, and
Yep.
they do support. They do Halloween in the Philippines. You're absolutely correct. I didn't know that was a thing, but it actually makes a lot of sense.
so
wanna do
on
that?
YouTube
Yep.
we do have a super chat from Lu. I've got to
Mhm.
always get your name right because I keep wanting to say Loom,
Mm.
but Luna Maria has a $10 super chat there with a question for me. Algared, is there a ship you don't have? Yes, it is called the Drake Cutlass Steel. It is a steel. I do not want it. I do not have it. I'm avoiding even upgrading my Legatus pack.
You
to the
don't. You
one
know,
that
at some
proves
point
it.
they'll just gift you one, right? So you
Well, just saying the hang on. My frustration with the steel is the fact that Drake ships are already supposed to be overgunned and under armored and all the rest of it. And you've got, so you've got the Drake, the Cutlass Black, which is already overgunned, and it's a great versatile ship. And what they've done, that sounded so Trumpish. And they've gutted the interior out. They've gutted the cargo and the living space out. They've put 20 seats in there, and then overgunned it even more by putting more guns on it. And to me, that's just it's disgusting. And then it's the cheapest Drake ship to buy in game, and yet it's twice as expensive. It's insane. It's nuts. So yeah.
just remember.
I believe one of the turrets even shoots itself. Like there's one turret that can actually damage the ship itself.
Good.
It's
They'll
it's a
fix it.
decision.
They'll fix it eventually. I still think that is definitely something that was made for theaters of war.
Yeah, and
where
that
it
is
came
something
out.
we did discuss at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really obvious to me the way it's designed with Drake in mind. Like it was designed to get a lot of people, way too many people, right?
Yeah.
For a ship of that size from somewhere to somewhere else very quickly. But they wanted it to be weak enough that you would get off it fairly quickly.
Yeah, they didn't want you hanging around there.
Yeah.
I've got to get off the ship.
Or when you can put half a server on one ship, that's kind of crazy, you know. At the time, it was half a server. Now it's like a quarter of the server, but you get the whole point.
But I do think that idea was because in theaters of war you had the Ursa being a spawn spot for, and they wanted a space. I think they wanted a spaceship that could do the same thing, and so that was I think that was the idea with that ship, be able to get people to spawn on.
One other thing I do want to talk about that someone in chat kind of just reminded me of, and I will go back over to the browser for this one really quickly. So again on the map, there's two things I want to point out here, and again, this is just to get your mind thinking in that Asus Rogue as a sponsor, right? That when we see big sponsors like that, generally they've been like VKB are on there as well. So I just want to point that out. That's the first time we've had like Toby's been on there before, but like Asus and that. So they are up there with Intel and AMD as far as I'm concerned. The other one thing I want to point out is this. So obviously the potential there for a ship or something like that, or maybe a peripheral, like a joystick or something from because I'm thinking like if you had a joystick from VKB and a keyboard from Asus that was Star Citizen inspired, that could totally be a thing. The other thing that was pointed out during the week, and I can't remember where I saw this, but I did not point this out to you, Algared, so I apologize. But when you zoom in on this area where you could potentially play computers and stuff, now I think this is a real stretch, right? A real stretch to me because it just looks like paint smear to me. But people are saying that looks like a Fury.
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
And I think that is a stretch as shit. right? But, remember, this is a graphic from above. This is not like they cut the roof of the convention center and actually took a photo, right? So this is just a mock-up map, right? And I think that is a total reach. Like, there's people going, "Oh, it's an Asus Fury or something like that," right?
Scythe. If you think it's a Fury, your head's cut. It's a scythe. Everyone can clearly see that's a scythe
Yeah.
or a glaive.
But yeah,
No.
so crazy times. Could we get a ship from Asus? Absolutely. Could we? For that matter, you could get a ship from VKB. Who knows? But
Yeah.
joystick manufacturer on there and Asus. I don't know. Has VKB actually been on there before? I'm not too sure. It'd be interesting. But it sounds like the type of thing where if you're going to get a joystick manufacturer, we knew it was SciTech back in the day, and then they got brought by Logitech, and that killed the whole deal. It's probably progressed along a lot further from that. What was the other thing we got? We got that camera, Algared. What was that? The faceware cam?
Yep, the faceware cam was
Never
was being
eventuated.
planned.
So we've
but-
had a few things come and go like that, hardware basis on the line.
I-
But it's probably
Well-
all been kicked down the road because of Squadron 42 not actually coming out too, because that was all back, answer the call
When-
2017 type of thing, and we all know the game's been kind of reset since then.
I'm going on memory, but when they did the joysticks, wasn't there also, or the camera, wasn't there also a keyboard setup that was
Yes,
on,
that's by
whole-
Yeah, it was a keyboard and joystick,
Yeah,
and that was
joystick.
by SciTech, and they got
Yep.
brought out by Logitech, which killed the deal.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So but I think they do have that plan for the peripherals, and I think they've always had that plan to do the peripherals. But plans change, and companies sometimes they we can do it, and then it doesn't work. That part of development, and whether we like it or not, more often than not, we don't like it, because I don't think anyone really likes change. But I think that's the But we're both big.
SpaceTech, do you want to weigh in there, man? You're being a bit quiet.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, it's like I think the likelihood of getting a sponsorship with like a GPU or something like that is not unreasonable. Like the way Starfield does it.
Yep.
But I think it would make the most sense if they ended up bundling something like Squadron with
Absolutely.
with the GPU or
Yep.
with a keyboard or something like that.
Totally.
I think that's like single player experiences are very easy to bundle, right?
I just can't get away. The more I keep thinking of VKB, I just can't get away from joystick. I just can't. What else is VKB going to be on there for? That's all they do
Definitely.
is pedals and joysticks, and they've probably gone, look at what the community use and all the different brands, and they've talked to them all, and obviously VKB's made a jump for something there. So whether or not they've just supplied a bunch of joysticks for fight or flight or the test area or whatever, it could be that as well. But again, it's the first time we've had a joystick as well.
Pedals.
I did say that they
steering
hang on. I
wheels.
did say they'd been on there before, but to my recollection now, they haven't been on there before. So yeah, pedals as well.
Pedals, steering wheels, and
Pedals, yeah.
joysticks. There you go. And then you got vehicles and ships and all that included. But could be. Look, I think it'd be nice if they do something like that. I could see with any of those also having sponsorship deals where they actually get a ship, where they make a ship and put it in game. The only condition I have or prefer for those types of things is that it's not just, if it's VKB, it's not just VKB as the current company. It's got to be something that's made to fit the verse. And I don't mind, I didn't mind the Raven style. I like the way the Raven, even though it's a fighter, actually is a data runner, because it came with, that the hard drive.
Yep.
And so it was the fast, safe transport of material, and so that was what it was there for. And
well, my brain went back to a leak about EMP Mantis is where my brain went. So SpaceTech, how would you feel about an Asus Mantis?
That would be definitely interesting. I think the all I would say though is that like with these collaborations, if at all possible, I have no idea how this kind of business works, but if at all possible, if the rights for that ship could remain with CIG, unlike the Omega and the Raven, that would be great. Because I hate seeing $3,000 Ravens on eBay. It's so frustrating to see that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff there that is now up in the air, because I've had people I've talked to about the week. I have always been told things like that are going to be available in game, right, as a part of the deal. So they're exclusive to be brought with the item that they have, but you can earn them in game, right? And that's why they made, so the first one was the AMD Mustang, but AMD is actually called Accelerator Mass Driver, which is an in-law story thing, right? So if they're going to go to that effort to
Right.
put it in law, it still makes sense to me that it's got to be in-game somehow for you to earn, right? So it all, I don't know, that makes sense to me. Some people say that that doesn't matter, but we've always been told all the way along everything is earnable in game, no matter what it is. Even those executive skins like you were talking about, Algared, yeah, that are the earnable, but me and you have always assumed they'll be down the end of some massive rep grind to get them.
Yep.
And the example me and Algared have always talked about, Knights of the Old Republic. I've still got the box sitting up there next to me, Algared. The one that you and I always used as the example was they had what was the thing? There was like a million-mile height. Yeah. And if you had brought the collector's edition, you got access to that for free. If you didn't, you could buy access to it in that, and it was like
in game. I think it was 2 million.
Yeah, it was
$1 million or $2 million.
It was a lot of it was a lot of money. Yeah,
there was a lot of in-game credits. Let me tell you, because I had to earn it.
Yeah, and I got it for free, so and I could use it from. And I remember people asking me what's in the shop up there and stuff like that, because you then had to, once you got in there, you got access to a shop that you could buy rare things.
And it was empty.
Nice.
No, it wasn't empty.
No, there was a shop there, but the place was devoid of people.
It was just a bar, really. It was just
it was a bar. Yeah, it was a bar with a few shops, but it was brown.
Really, you were paying for access to the shop. So
yeah.
I was
I think
shattered.
that's fine.
I was shattered. I'll be honest. All right, next question.
Yeah.
Jodamo. Now that they have done this with the F8, can you see them now doing that with the new Squadron 42 variants of the Glaive and other Vandal ships?
Yeah, I can.
Yep.
Well, I expect we're going to get these. If you've got a Glaive, you're going to get the upgraded version eventually, anyway.
Yeah.
I expect that with the blade, the the
scythe even.
So
Yep.
expect that.
Maybe that's the answer there, Algared. They will sell it by Asperia when they re-release them up, updated. So because I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
I could even see though that the Asperia versions being slightly different in look and style, because they're kind of trying to rebuild and get a ship that approximates. And I know this is horrendously anathema to any Asperia fans, because that would be no, they do proper replicas. but yeah, so but that's life. Anyway, so that's that one. Luna Murray is just commenting on that question. John Ski, if you buy a Lightning using a gold ticket and go to the War Bond option, can you gift it to a friend? I do believe you cannot.
Nope, it is non-giftable completely.
It is just like the Raven, apparently.
I think that was the very first thing I went and checked to see if there was any CCUs for it. That was the very first thing I did. Because then I would have just put it, like, nicked it into one of my chains, played with it for a while, and then moved on. But yeah, it unfortunately just falls into the same bracket as me and Algared have been saying for years and years. It's a fighter. It does one thing really, really well, and it's not going to really appreciate it in value. And
I did notice that one of our mods had been in the chat, and they're doing their mantra. F8C is just a fighter.
It's like he's trying to convince himself not to buy it. But yeah, no, it's so true though. Like, but if you really like it, it's the same thing. Me and Algared will say you can buy one, and you can always turn it into something else later, right? Obviously, you're giving up all the Warbond CCUs you could do to get that cheaper though. So, but that's kind of what they're counting on, was impulse buys. And I've ran into 2 or 3 people that literally came back to me and said, "Man, I love this thing initially, but now I'm realizing the cost of it. Like, it was an expensive purchase." And I said, "Well, you've got 14 days.
It's really expensive.
You got 14 days to return it, and it's not just as long as you contact CIG within those 14 days. So even if there's a lot of tickets, they'll still refund you the money. So just remember, you can get your money back if you want it back for 2 weeks. So yeah."
Yep.
As you said, with the golden tickets, you get rental for 24 hours.
That's what I did. I flew mine for 24 hours. I was like, yeah, this is cool. It feels like a super. I got to fly yours too, obviously. But you know, and I went in with Space Tomato and played with him on his little stream. Not his little stream, but I played with him on his stream for a little bit. Was what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it sounded very condescending when you.
Yeah. But what my bipolar. I get my words in front of what I'm saying. So yeah. But yeah. Long story short, it is just a bigger Super Hornet, bit heavier, but you know, and it's got its place because I still reckon there'll be a person in an Arrow that'll be able to outmaneuver you because it is just that much quicker. And again, we still don't have things like armor and stuff like that either. So it's going to change all again. Just remember that. We keep telling you this.
I think at the tippy top of PvP, I think the light fighters are still going to eat this thing for breakfast. But underneath that, I think for the average person, I think this is going to be just fine, like to do your ERTs with and such.
Again, light fighters are not going to have armor. Heavy fighters are going to have more armor.
So
it'll change again.
That attrition wall will favor.
This light fighter meta that they keep extending because people keep complaining, oh, this ship kills my light fighter, is going to end. Because once armor comes in, there's no way around it.
If this ship kills my light fighter, I can't hurt it. Buffer. Suck it up.
So, yeah.
You know, light fighters are great for certain positions and certain roles, but they shouldn't be the be-all and end-all.
What's going to happen when person X complains, oh, my light fighter was taken out by a Connie, nerf that because those 4 people worked against me? You know, like, what?
Oh, my light fighter couldn't destroy that javelin.
Yeah, nerf it.
That javelin one-shotted me. It shouldn't be able to, you know. Get a life.
I was in the blind spot. That's not fair.
Yeah. I was in the blind spot. It shouldn't have been able to get me. Stuff up. They rammed me. They rammed me in the javelin.
So I want to put this question to you as well, and I guess this might be a part of the episode we do this weekend, Algared. But do you think now that they're selling the Lightning, that is the only ship we'll see at CitizenCon? Because I personally believe it's not the only ship we're going to see at CitizenCon.
No, well, I would have thought if they were going to sell the Lightning at all, that would have been where you sell it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons for that, what you're saying, is that I was on a podcast, on Space Tomato's podcast this weekend, or last weekend, and we realized there's about 15 ships dropping between now and the end of the year that are potentially able to be dropped. That's nuts.
Crazy.
15.
That is
like
so
compared to how many were at the end of the beginning of the year. That's why we're expecting things like certain things to come at Invictus, but they just, most of them were held up or not ready to go. Right, so like the SRV, you know, tractor beams held a lot of them up and things like that. But so it's
now, of course, one reason why I can see why they didn't make this available for CitizenCon is because we've believed for ages that CitizenCon is RSI, and so if you're doing a theme of RSI and releasing a whole pile of RSI ships at that time,
technically RSI would be AIE. But
I
get your point.
Yeah, but yeah. So anyway, that was the thought.
Well, CitizenCon can be anything. Honestly.
It could be,
yeah. So, but
yeah, I would like.
But
I can see.
As I was saying though, the Lightning wasn't even in those 15. So that just shows you that like there's ships outside that, and that included the 5 unannounced ships, of which one of those 5 unannounced ships at the time is now the Fury LX. So that includes 4 that are not announced. So that's a lot. And you got to remember, there's things like the UTV they showed at the end of last year. That's announced.
Yep.
So you've got to add it all to this list, and it went up to like 15. It's just ridiculous. There is a lot of vehicles in there now that they can just pluck out of nowhere whenever. Not to mention they can just go, oh, here's one that, you know, they didn't put on the roadmap, but you know, they generally do put them on the roadmap. But yeah.
Now, I've just seen in our YouTube chat, Sketch Therapy has said that they think it's a brilliant idea to make the Lightning a melt lock. Are you saying that the gold version you can't melt it as well? Is that what you're saying, Sketch? Because I don't have a gold version. I haven't bought a gold version, so I can't comment. I haven't had a chance to go looking for tickets either, so. I can't be running around like Charlie saying, I've got a golden ticket.
Wait, so it looks as though they're in favor of being unable to melt and then buy it back later. I'm not sure quite why, though. I think it's a fine thing.
Special. Look, if that's the case, that's fine because that's a special event. And special events if you melt it, you can't necessarily buy it back.
The other argument here is you haven't seen what it's going to be like in 2 weeks. So once they kind of take it off the store, if it is never ever sold ever again, I can kind of leave that as okay. It was done once as a birthday gift type of thing. I can see that, and I wouldn't have so much of a problem with it. But if it's going to be available every birthday for 2 weeks, then
I think that's likely.
Yeah, and then it changes it quite a bit. You know, is this
Did you see how much money they made?
They made a shit ton because this is a ship people have been waiting for, and it's been told that it is the pinnacle fighter of Squadron 42, right? And again, like it, as me and Algared have kind of said to, that's why it's disappointing, because it was this reward for finishing Squadron 42, and you've kind of you know, they've kept all these spoilers locked away for years and years and years, and that is I'm gonna be honest, that is a motivation for playing Squadron 42, and you've just told everyone you can cheat and buy it. You know,
yeah,
you can see where I'm coming.
Real quick, just to clarify something, Sketch. It wasn't a hearsay that it goes into your buybacks. Jake has come out and confirmed it. Yeah. So yeah, it does go back into your buybacks, and you can buy it back whenever you want.
There you go. So, I would have been easy either way, you know, just because it is a special.
In that case, I've just got to go over and buy a ship with credit and meld it in my buyback. I'll be doing that after the show.
What I did.
That's what I'm going to be doing after the show. Yeah.
And thanks, Arcane, for again doing the confirming. He's again confirming just what you said.
Yeah.
Space.
So if you've got $300 in credit sitting in your account, buy it and meld it in 24 hours, because then it's no longer limited. It's just like one of those skins. You can remove that limited ability. Really good tip there. I was not aware of that. Thank you for sharing that information, everyone.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, 69 has a statement. They say, I have a feeling that release of Squadron 42 is closer than we think. Composers invited and questions about dress code.
Dress code? What? For what?
Yeah, apparently.
For CitizenCon?
Je ne sais pas.
Can we get some can we get some, like, a link or some context to that, please? Because that sounds really interesting. Who was that posted?
It was by Crusader69.
Yeah, give us a link, bro. You can link me on Discord or Algared on Discord, or chuck it in the chat, and I'm sure chat will bring it to our attention. Yeah, okay. That's like hot information with no context. Please fill that in. Yeah.
But we, you know, Strike. I feel like I've been saying it for the last year. When I read the monthly reports for the last this year, certainly they've been, you know, finishing, polishing, finalizing, polishing, you know, bug fixing, and that, you know, to me that's the type of stuff you do at the end. And I meant when I first mentioned it to you, you were like, no, that's the stuff you do at the end, and it was like it just compounded and just.
Yeah,
and you know, it wasn't just 1 month; it's like month after month, and you just see it just building and building in terms of that. So,
and I've said a few times to you, they're on crunch, like it's really obvious.
Yeah. Mongo Mo says Paul made a comment on this last week, and it was on Twitter. So,
give me a link to the Twitter, please, Mongo Mo, just so we can look into it ourselves, so we can cross our T's and dot our I's. That's how me and Algared do things. We bounce things off each other, and we remember through each other. That's just how we do it.
And we'll have to Paul out later.
Yeah,
there you go.
Actually, that was last weekend. We don't have a show with Paul this weekend, so yeah.
No.
That's how tired I am. Right. Next question, please, Algared.
Yep. John Ski, Titan suits, woo for pledge? Question mark.
Definitely, absolutely. There's no way it isn't.
Will be.
Yep.
Did he say will we pledge, or will it be a pledge?
Will be.
Absolutely will be. I don't know about you, Algared, but I think it falls under a vehicle. So for me, it's an earning game. But I think we could all agree that there's definitely a tie to there'd be vehicles, at least, vehicles that carry Titan suits. That would be more appealing to me personally.
Vehicles that carry Titan suits, ship that carry Titan suits. Various Titan suits for various things, because you know.
Look,
question.
C-Daddy from
Go ahead.
C-Daddy from CIG's in Twitch. I just got to kill him. I got to go get a platinum. Just give me a second. Sorry.
I was just saying, like, do you think that they'll sell the concept for the Titan suits and the ships that carry them first, or do you think we'll actually get a straight to flyable Titan suit?
Well, one of the things I'm going back to that Caterpillar videos we went through. Algared, you know where I'm going with this, but
Yep.
back then they called them exosuits, and it was really interesting because they literally were thinking back them way back then. If there's was it 2 or 3 videos on the Caterpillar Algared, and they were like about 9 months apart, all of them. Yeah, so if you want to go find them, they did videos about the Caterpillar modules, and they did them about 8 to 9 months apart. But we talk about them in the video we did for the Can We Fix It on the Caterpillar. But long story short, they actually talked about different types of exosuits, and one of the very first ones they talk about is like a utility exosuit. So it's more utility based, and you know, like it's one of the ones me and Algared theorized that would be in something like, say, the Reclaimer. You know, and that's what we honestly thought the Cutter initially might actually be a Titan suit, because like you could see someone walking around with like a massive chomping arm to kind of like break up salvage, or a welder or something like that.
And that, for me, just was Ripley.
Well, that was the other one we talked about, was a power loader one. You know, and then obviously the only one we've ever seen pictures of is the combat one with the lightning gun. And from everything I've heard from my sources is that is a boss in Squadron 42. That concept image where he's got a massive lightning gun, he's a boss. And that's the only, if you think about it, that's the only one we've ever seen. And we've never seen anything else. So I actually think Titan suits are one of those things, because it's not required for Squadron 42, because you can fake it as a boss. That clearly means you don't really use a Titan suit yourself in Squadron 42. Now, whether that means we might use one in episode 2 or 3, that's a different question. But I think that is definitely something where they've kicked it down the road, because they go, all right, that's a cool boss. And then in the one of the next episodes, you can do it yourself. Right. And that would be really cool. And I've always seen them as, and I've talked to a few military guys as well, as like indoor tanks, where if you can get in close to it, because if you think of it, if you're high up in a Titan suit, you can kind of run around it, go under its legs, that type of thing, and stuff with it, much like you can a real tank. Do you remember how they used to put, what was it, Algared? They used to put bombs in socks and then put tar on them and then swing them.
T-bombs.
Yeah, is that what it was? Yeah. So a little bit like that. So infantry can take out a tank if they're close enough, but obviously if you support said tank, the tank can really stuff up infantry. It's the same thing. So it becomes like this thing. That's why you're seeing the picture like he's supported by a squad, because they're basically covering each other. So yeah, I don't know.
Also remember, I think it was Josh Coombs talking about, you know, being able to pick up a size 1 weapon and click it onto the arm. You know, so being able to do size 1 ship weapons is the type of thing they were talking.
And all,
you know, or speculating.
Well, it makes it a bit interesting too, because obviously there's places where you'll be go as a human, but a Titan can't get to. You can almost see a scene where it's like, you know, like damn, and it's got to like go around because you've gone through a doorway it can't go through and stuff like that.
Like the old D&D issue, you know, you've got a giant in your party, you can't get through the doors because I can't fit.
So what's your thoughts on that, Space Tomato? Now we've got, not Space Tomato, shit. I did it again. SpaceTech. Yeah, it's the same name. We call him Space. So as soon as I say Space, I just think of Space Tomato. My apologies. But yeah, what's your kind of thoughts on a Titan suit like that, or a variety or series of Titan suits?
Yeah, I think given the hype around it, I think a release like that, and what we know about what's in Squadron and such, I think it's inevitable that we see it in the PU one day. I think the only question is the tech different enough than what we have already that it's not worth the investment anytime soon? I think as soon as like the tech is figured out, or if like they can free up some people who can work, because it would be a pretty substantial shakeup from how things work today. And so I think as soon as they can do that, I think it's inevitable that we see it in game.
C Daddy from CIG, just a note you can take to the people that name these things for me as a personal problem. Massive missed opportunity with naming convention when they use the Atlas on the Atlas platform from Anvil, when what they could have done is every Titan suit could have been a Titan. Would have been awesome. So you could have, like, one of the ones we talked about was the medical one. You could have had like Hera, or you know, you could have literally gone through all the Titans and named them after one of the Titan gods. It would have made, and they could have all come from different manufacturers, but it just would have been so cool if the Titan suits were Titans. But hey, I don't stuff up the naming conventions. I do hope eventually, though, and you and I have said this, Algared, we do hope that there's this massive retcon just before the game goes live, and they fix a lot of those issues, like the Anvil what was it? The Anvil Valkyrie Liberator and stuff like that. So instead of there being two Liberators from the same company, they are completely separate names and stuff like that. And I don't know, Algared, do you still kind of agree with that? You hope that they fix a lot of things?
I certainly would like to see where we've got duplicate names that being fixed. The Atlas, I can understand the naming because the chassis is the
weight of the world.
Weight of a world, and it's carrying all the other things on its back. So it is a really suitable name. But yeah.
Well, just like real life, there are multiple things called the same. So there's no reason if Anvil can't have the Atlas, someone else can't have the Atlas Titan suit, you know? So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
But having a Liberator, a Valkyrie Liberator, and then a ship called the Liberator can get confusing. But I'd just be happy for not everything to sound the same. I get so confused.
Happens to me too. The Gladiator and the Gladius, and there's so many. Me and Algared will say the wrong ship, and we're going to correct ourselves because they're very similar. So yeah.
Yep. I look forward to. By the way, I do look forward to the boxes, the fixing of boxes, so that my inventory is cleared up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I can put all the junk in one box and all the models in another box. And
I had to listen to Algared again with his first world problems, where he was trying to get down his list of ships again, and the ASOP terminal times out, which happens to him all the time. So that just tells you how big his list of ships is. He can't get to the bottom before it times out.
Yep, I think it timed out 2 or 3 times when we were doing the episode the other night.
Yep. So
I think
you need one of these. You need one of these mice so you can unlock the scroll wheel and just spin it, and let it spin, and then put the brake on. That's what you need. So
yeah. But anyway. It'd be nice to. I do like the fact that at the moment, if you haven't summoned a ship, it's kind of in the list. I'd love it to be if you're not at the terminal where the ships are, they don't show up at all, rather than just being listed as unavailable. I think that's where they are at the moment. But yeah. But that's a first world problem. Hey, suck it up, Fletch.
Well, we've talked about that too. Obviously, quality of life at some point, like, a filter box, a manufacturer, filtering, all that type. So you can go. I want to spawn a fighter, and so it just lists every fighter. I want to spawn a mining ship. It lists all the mining ships, and that'll all come in time, right? It's quality of life. Squadron 42 first. It'll come. Don't worry about it. I've got no doubt that we'll get that. And eventually, I'm sure it'll get to the point where we can request features and CIG will put them in.
Yep. And search features like that, they'll come. And I imagine that there are not too many people who have hundreds of ships and stuff. Most sane people have at most 4 or 5.
A really simple one that they could probably implement first, and I did forget about this one, that Wombalissimo mentions, is set a favorite ASOP. Yeah, absolutely. Just like a little star button you click, and that means that one appears at the top of the list. So you could just like star or favorite your top 5 or whatever, and bang, they always appear at the top.
Or even ships that you've summoned are at the top of the list, just
that
all
too.
those nice things.
Yep. Quality of life, and again, we're about to get a lot of those what's it called? Building block things come in. So hopefully when that first wave of that stuff comes in, we might see those changes already. CRG might have already have them in the list.
Yep, and quality of life things are coming, it's just be patient.
Yep.
We're in game development. And that's part of game development. Things are screwy before they get better.
I think that's the nature of it too, Algared, is like you and I have been here for the longest time, and people like SpaceTech have been here for a long time. But you got to remember, there's always new people. Like, this is the thing that blew my mind is since the beginning of COVID, the number of people that are into this game has doubled. So what does that mean? In another 3 times, it doubles again. In another 3 years, it doubles again. I mean, like that's crazy to me. So if that's the rate at what we're growing, we have to go through this again. And the bigger this game becomes, the more casual people start to come in, and they don't understand game development, and they don't care to either. So that's why, you'll get these people that are like, Squadron 42, what's that? Because they didn't even know there's a single player game. They didn't realize it was 2 games. Or they know Squadron 42 and they don't know Star Citizen. It goes both ways. I've seen both. So, and they just don't have the patience. Like, a lot of people treat this game like an early access game. But fundamentally, we are way before early access. Like, if you think the development, like when you hear people talk about Star Citizen, you go, we've got one system and that's all we've got in 10 years. That's because they're not really working on that. They've been working on this thing that we've just never seen, right? And so when this thing drops, I think it's going to be a real penny drop moment for a lot of people. They're going to be like, holy shit, this is where all the time's been going.
Yep.
Now it
that's why I
makes
think
so much more sense. Sorry.
But I think
Yeah,
even
and
if,
I think that's exactly why they can't afford for Squadron to not be like an 8 out of 10 minimum.
Absolutely.
Like if there's so much money and time has been spent making this thing that nobody has seen, it has to be a banger. You can't even be Starfield level. You have to be better.
I think Algared, you'll
Starfield level.
well, Starfield, yes,
In my opinion,
yeah,
Starfield does nothing.
yeah.
It's just
I have to agree.
Fallout in space. It's trivial.
Yeah.
Now,
It's the
I
bare,
know there are people
it's the
who
bare
love it, but
minimum. It's the bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to agree with me. You've made me forget what I was going to say now. Based on
welcome to my world.
the Cyberpunk letter, Algared, that he did for Tim and the chairman, I think that clearly stated from the Cyberpunk letter, he is not going to let this land like that landed. And that was 3 years ago, right? And, he basically stated in that letter, I'm not going to let my game become what happened to that. So he is not going to release this at a not unpolished state. They are not the same. Like, you got to remember, Cyberpunk is as a company, like CD Projekt Red. I think it's way up there. I can't remember. I don't want to say a fact or figure, but there was some company they were right next to, and that other company. Like, I think it's bigger than. Don't quote me on this. I think it's bigger than in the entirety of EA, but they've only got like 2 games. Right? It's something ridiculous like that. That's how much money The Witcher and Cyberpunk has made CD Projekt Red. And I'll have to go look it up. So don't quote me for verbatim, but it is some ridiculous amount of money that they have made. Now, you get only one chance to make a first impression, right? It's taken them 3 years, but do you honestly think if Cyberpunk came out like it did then, they would have made more money? Than they've made. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of people buying into the game now. They've made a ridiculous amount of money since the Phantom Liberty dropped.
Yes. Yeah.
But I reckon how many people have they lost because of the saltiness of it, And kudos to those people that picked up Cyberpunk for $10 and then sat and waited, like, wow, you got that, but you had to wait 3 years. And 3 years is back in the day was the entire development of a game. So that took them a long time to fix. And that's the only that's the only DLC we're getting for it. They're moving straight on to Unreal Tournament 5. They've abandoned the engine. They've basically gone, stuff this. It's too much work, and they're setting up a new studio. I believe it's in Boston. So they're going to a new country, a new engine, and a whole new team. And setting so Cyberpunk's going to be built in the US, and I think Witcher's going to be exclusively in Poland. So yeah.
And you look at No Man's Sky. That was another similar one where it came out with a buggy mess. People complained that so many things that they promised weren't there. I can see CIG did not want that. They want it to be a really good experience. And
C-Dagger replied to me, C-Dagger from CIG, he says, late in replying to this, but don't get me started on how we name things. If it's anything like my grade 10 teacher would tell me, he used to throw our reports into the air, and the first one that hit the ground got an A. So I assume that's how they do it at CIG. God. They write all the name ideas down, and they just throw it up. The first one that hits the floor, that's the one.
No, your teacher was lying. You don't.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, so, yeah.
Ooh, he broke something.
No, I just almost spilled my cup of water everywhere. Fortunately not. That's why I had that look of fear on my face.
So what's your thoughts on that, SpaceTech? Your kind of takeaway? Do you really think they're going to kind of really take their time and polish it? Because you do only have that one chance to make a first impression.
Absolutely,
and, yeah. They're a massive company. They've got things that they can fall back on at CD Projekt Red, and they had contract. So this I can put this onto other games like Darktide, right? There are contract obligations they have. So one of the reasons why they had to release Darktide as an example is that they had contracts that the game would be included with NVIDIA graphics cards. Those cards were coming out, so they had to release the game in the broken state that it was. And it's the same thing with Cyberpunk. They had the same contractual obligations. They pushed it like 3 times right to the back to the end of the year. They can't push it past
Yep.
December because it had to come out in that year with the graphics cards.
Yep.
It's that simple.
No, I agree, and I think like CD Projekt Red at least had all of the goodwill built up from the Witcher series.
Yep.
And like they had a lot of goodwill built up there, and I think that helped cushion the blow for Cyberpunk. But I think if this was their first game, if Cyberpunk was their first like entry onto the scene, they would have been annihilated. I think it would have been refunds in the like 30, 40, 50% more refunds than there were already.
Yeah.
I think like I think Star Citizen's in that place where you have to hit it out of the park.
The main problem with that game, though, was that they tried to put it on the older generations of consoles. Like, you can still talk about all the bugs and stuff, but they spread themselves too thin. They just assumed that they could downgrade it to that, but they couldn't. That was the big one. And and it shows in Phantom Liberty, because you can't get Phantom Liberty on those consoles. You can't.
Yep.
Anyway, all right. Next question, please, Algared. I think we've kind of beaten that dead horse, but it is important to bring that up.
But I keep losing it because the conversation waffles.
Sorry,
bro. Too bad.
Sorry. It'll come down. Don't worry.
Eventually.
Yep.
If not, too bad. Weepy Sleeper says, feels like me at the moment. What would you think about CIG permanently having a pool of ships to rent if you find a rare ticket drop like this event?
Personally, I love the idea of it. I think that's great. Anything that you can do to encourage people to be in-game, spending time in-game, I think is great. I don't see it as a lose situation for CIG either, where, you know, like, oh, if people have more access to ships, they buy ships less. I don't think so. And if you make it sufficiently rare, you make people really invested in a ship that they use. Like if the rental period, say, is like a week, that's enough time for you to like use a Carrack and really enjoy the ability to respawn again. I think that the next time it comes up for sale, you're going to think twice about it, saying, man, I really enjoyed having that ability. So I see it as a win-win. More to do in game, and I think you're going to help drive sales with it.
I actually think you could use it as a really cool marketing tool. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, imagine one person finds a ticket in game and it tells them to go to the website and redeem it. And it then all of a sudden gives them access to buy a ship that no one else has bought, and then all of a sudden it appears in game, and people are like, what the fuck is that? And someone else finds a ticket. And so it becomes this perpetual thing. What I'm trying to get at is it starts out with one person that randomly finds a ticket, and then it spawns 2 more, then it spawns 4 more, and it's, you know where I'm going with this? And so it just goes from this echoes of rumor to like everyone has seen it. And so it starts out, and it just becomes this word of mouth thing. Like, have you found one? Have you found one? And so every time they get found, and eventually, so everyone's looking to the point that eventually everyone has it, right?
And because every time it finds it, it doubles you.
Yeah. And it'd be really cool, and never announce the ship is coming, and it gives you access to buy it. And that's a true hunt, because it's like, well, shit, we've got to find these so more people can buy it.
Yep.
Yeah. And unlike announcing it and it's a hunt, it's just whispers, like, or you know, and it'd be really good.
Tickets appear in random places, then you can't even say, I'm going to keep this hidden so that my ship is special.
Really good for some kind of stealth ship or something like that, you know, the Whisperer or something like that, like the rumors, or have you, you know, like you can see how it all leads into that espionage type of thing. It'd be kind of really cool way to do that one. But yeah, obviously the marketing team do put a bit of thought into these. I think the thing that really got me a little bit was like how rare the tickets were meant to be, and you fly one in 5 minutes. Like, it was like because they want you to buy it, so they're going to make it easy to find. But they made it sound. Well, put it this way: I've had more trouble trying to find those. I found 1 helmets after like 4 days. Like, and you're meant to find them underground, and I found mine above ground. Yep. You know, so and the helmets don't work at the moment too. So until they patch that, are you going to give us extra time to get the helmets, CIG? I don't know, but that forum badge for the Halloween event is probably going to be the rarest forum badge of the lot, because again, I've been trying for put it this way, I was able to do the last events in about 3 hours, right? I've probably put in close to 15 and I got 1 helmet. So there's something really buggy there going on. So I roughed it the math and went, all right, so it's an hour per helmet, so this is going to take me about 9 hours. That's just what I assumed. But I've put in like 3 times that and I've got 1 helmet. So
sometimes your luck can be super bad with those. I remember last year, I think I opened up somewhere along the lines of 300 boxes, and I didn't find the Van Duel helmet. So it's so luck of the draw that
Well, last
I don't
year,
even bother anymore.
last year it was really tied to outposts. Like there were people trying to get them out of bunkers, and it just wouldn't happen in bunkers, right? But apparently this year it says it was underground, right? But the box count for boxes has been lowered, but they've been increased at outposts, and so apparently the best chance of finding them is at outposts. And the people that I've seen finding, like I found mine at an outpost, right? Or like a not an outpost. What do you call it? The above ground missions, the retrieval ops is what they're called, and they're really clever way to get me to do box mission CRG because I've never done a box mission until then, right? And I was like,
Yep.
fucking box mission.
So Mark says the helmet
Hmm.
one is broken, and they are working on it.
Yeah, but I know you're working on it. But does that also mean that you're going to give us the extra time that we missed? And up the damn drop rate. Like, come on, be honest. Like, and tell us specifically what we've got to do to get it. Like, you'll get this through box missions or whatever, because it is, let's be honest, it's annoying as shit if you're trying to do something and you, kind of like what SpaceTech said. If he'd been going down and doing bunkers and he did 300 boxes and never got it, and all it turns out he was doing it in the wrong spot, you know, so be clear what you've got to do to get it. Because it does say underground. Right, so
Underground, I
that's
expect it to be
bunkers, but I'm telling you right now, it doesn't come from bunkers. At least I haven't seen one from a bunker. I've seen golden ticket. I've seen golden tickets of dead bodies, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. So does that mean that helmets can come off dead bodies? So just put that out there. Just saying. So I'd be interested to see what happens. But yeah. All right.
I think the tickets were added to like all loot tables everywhere. I've heard of it being found in gold boxes, blue boxes, red boxes, white boxes, and off dead bodies. I think every loot table had golden tickets added to it.
Mm-hmm. I do think it should be the other way though. They should have had like a silver ticket and then a gold ticket, and the platinum one can just nick off. Because golden ticket was meant to be the rare one from Willy Wonka. Like I could see why they called it a gold ticket, but like,
yep.
And I would have loved to have it like. If they'd gone a step further, do you ever seen Lost in Paradise on Fifth Element where he opens the ticket and it goes, and you've won or whatever? I would have loved that. It's like, I've got a golden ticket, and it like plays the and shoots confetti. That would have been really cool. That's the little effect that I would have done, but yeah, that's just me. But yeah,
golden tickets in chocolate bars, you know.
that would have been even, yeah. And you just munching on the chocolate bar, and then he, golden ticket, yeah, that would have been good too. Actually. That's a good one too. I like that.
A meme. Tip of the hat to famous authors. Yeah.
Yeah. You could have done it in several ways. Yeah, you could have done all of them. But again, it all takes time.
Down in a cave, killing some little critter who's saying, "My precious."
And you got to remember, all that's got to be animated and textured and all that. So yeah, it does take extra time. But yeah, it's the little extra details that we appreciate. So yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Next question is from Axis0096. What other potential surprises in light of what's going on this week do you suppose might be revealed at CitizenCon?
I'm going to leave our stuff for the episode, Algared, because otherwise, I guess we can talk about it now. What you tell me what you're expecting, and then I'll ask Space, and then I'll close this home on that.
I'm not really expecting anything outside because I haven't given it much thought. It'll be what they reveal and what they do. I've said it numerous times. I'm expecting we'll get something on Squadron 42. We'll get something on server meshing.
That's true. That's true.
And server meshing links to whether we'll get the other systems,
Pyro and all that stuff. Yeah. That is something that is very evident. Algared has pointed on. Chris did mention in the Shanghai stuff, if you've ever seen that video, that they'll be talking about server meshing, but not a single panel talks about server meshing in the schedule. Where's that? So there's definitely something that's been removed. So yeah, Space. What are your kind of expectations for CitizenCon next week? And
yeah, I think we're definitely going to see some news about Squadron. What exactly that'll be, I'm not sure. It'll be, as I said before, I like to keep expectations low. So I'll say, you know what, they're going to say, this is how far we are, and we're not sure on the release date, but we're getting closer. And then I think we're going to hear something about Pyro in the sense that, like, I do hope it's going to be the end of the road to the path to the, yellow brick road to Pyro. But I'm expecting them to say, like, okay, we hope to get Pyro in your hands by the end of next year. I think that's what we're going to hear about Pyro.
I'd agree with that. The other thing me and Algared have talked about before, and I'm surprised I didn't mention it, is Mark Hamill. God, you better be there, buddy, at LA. Since you live there, what do you reckon, Algared? Might get a star there to kind of let him announce it. What do you reckon?
we've said for ages that when they do any announcement for Squadron,
Mm.
when we were first speculating where they would launch and do a launch for Squadron,
Yeah.
we always thought it would be LA,
Mm.
and you do a red carpet thing and get as many of the stars as you could there because it's a no-brainer.
And then that changed, didn't it? The realization that CitizenCon is not for us; it's for the staff.
Yep.
And that's when we realized it was going to be Manchester. So, yeah.
Because Manchester's their biggest office. So yeah.
Less
So-
like it's cheaper to fly everyone from the States over to there than it is to fly inverse. So that's probably what will happen. Everyone in LA will get flown. If you worked on the game, you'll get flown to Manchester, essentially.
Jodomo's saying they say that about Pyro and that every year. So just saying it, we hope to get it out next year. I don't think it's going to cut it because I'm like Jodomo. They say that they're saying that every year. It has to be.
Very least we'll see is a new trailer. What I'm hoping for is the vertical slice. They didn't promise a vertical slice, but they talked about a vertical slice as a level, a playable. Remember, they almost talked about it as an episodic thing at one point. I would hope that vertical slice that we saw 5 years ago is playable on the floor, and they release it so we can play it. So for a whole year, we have this side mission that we can look at. We can see what the gameplay is like. That is the ultimate hype machine. If you've got a level that you can play and say, you're going to get this as an entire game, this is one mission that takes an hour and a half, like it did in the video. You can do it multiple ways. Oh, and by the way, there are 70 plus hours of this. And it's got all these people in it, and it's got all these cinematics. It sells itself. Like, I've wanted to play that vertical slice since I saw it. I'm like, that's enough for me. I'll get, that's a $60 game, $70 game. I think that's what it's going to be, by the way. I think we can all agree it being removed from the store is really weird. I think it's going to come back at CitizenCon with a $10 price bump and probably $70 because it's taken that long for the game to come out, that most games have kind of gone up in price. And I'm going to be honest with you, even at $70, that's cheap, right? In Australian terms, Algared, what's that? Like $120, probably $110, something like that. Yeah. And with some of the things we've heard moving in the background, like as we said in one of our recent videos, there's talk of a distributor. If that is the case, then boy, and the one that we've heard, we're not going to tell you what it is, right? Because we don't want that to
that's pretty big.
affect anything. It's a very good choice. I'll just say that it hits. It's global. It hits every market it needs to hit. It'll go into Asia, Europe, USA, Australia. Like, this is a publisher that'll go everywhere, and they don't have a bad reputation. It's not like it's Electronic Arts or anything like that, right? So you don't need to worry. But like the one they picked is a very good one, and it's surprisingly good, right? Like when I looked at it, I went, oh, that's so good. And Algared was the same as soon as he heard, and the other people, a few of the other Inforunners we've told, they were all the same. They were like, oh, that's a really good choice. Yeah, so that's all I'm gonna say. It's very positive, right? Is your takeaway, and eventually they'll share. They might even share it at CitizenCon, right? We don't want to spoil that because we don't want to put a deal like that in any way, shape, or form jeopardy. Because again,
they are looking at a distributor for the package game. And
he'll be back in a second. He's just had a stroke. No, I'm kidding. I should do that. Actually, what we should call that from now is Algared just had a stroke. Right, you're back. Go ahead. Go, Algared. Go again.
Don't do that, please. I know that people say. I've lost my train of thought.
You were talking about the publisher, mate.
That's right. People say we don't need a publisher because we sell it online, but they do need a distributor because they've sold the boxes. I've got a box. You've got a box. Old people bought box sets.
And we are doing that older demographic, and a lot of older demographics prefer retail still. So that will be a thing, and they're going to push this to all markets. They're going to push it digitally. They'll probably even sell it on other storefronts. Like I could see them even like I'm not so sure about Steam, right? Because it's such a big cut. But I think eventually, look at Blizzard. They sold Diablo and Overwatch, and now they're pushing that onto Steam. So Steam may be the final place places go. You know, they might go on
Yeah,
Epic,
I think
you know,
they
Epic
do?
Games or blah blah blah, and things like that. But the other thing is, this is, if you haven't seen our video on it, this is definitely coming to consoles, and it's not a bad thing. Don't take that as an, oh no, console gamers are stealing my game. It's a single player game, and as we explained, it is too complicated a game with the back end for Star Citizen to go to consoles. At least initially, they would have to rebuild essentially most of the back end to work on a console. And, you know, Microsoft or Sony would have to go through and actually work with CIG, and more than likely that would be pushed off onto another development studio, you know, like when they do a port or whatever. So this game is not going to be affecting you that as well. And also, even if you feel that this might be a bit consolified because of the controller experience, remember, it's a single player game and a multiplayer experience. They can have slightly separate control systems. You know, you can have, I can guarantee you, even just between the episodic content, there will be weapons and balance changes between the first game and the third game, just in the single player, because things change as time goes on, right? And it's the same thing. You can have a whole different system in the multiplayer.
And if people don't believe that, even in version, you know, mission set 1 and 2 and 3 of Squadron will have rebalancing issues. If you don't believe that, just go.
Oh, he did it again. Just to put you a little bit at ease there, Division, it is not Microsoft.
Yeah.
It really surprised, like the publisher generally very surprised me at Algared. It was very, very good choice. Algared, sorry, you'll say you're back?
And I'll say it's not EA either. In fact, going on EA.
Algared, if you keep going, then we're going to say all the ones that it's not, and they'll figure it out. So we'll just drop it there.
Well,
I already said EA though, so you're fine.
You had said EA, but if you, from what I've heard, originally CIG was looking at EA as their
that was way back at the Kickstarter, wasn't it?
Way back then. The whole Kickstarter was to do proof of concept for EA, so EA would actually back them. And thank gods for Sandy, because my understanding is Sandy said, go it alone. Because EA apparently kept changing the goalposts, and Sandy said, we don't need them. Go it alone.
Yep.
So thank you, Sandy.
Great decision, honestly.
We have a lot to pay her for, so to speak. Like a lot of the things that we have in this game, and a lot of the best things, like how the marketing started out. Like when she left, I knew things were not going to be the same ever again. So yeah, it's just one of those things. She left the company, and it was a loss. And a lot of people saw it as yay. Like there were people that literally were cheering that she was leaving, and
idiots.
Yeah, it was a huge loss, because she was there since she was one of the original 8, right? She'd been there from the beginning, and she put her marketing background into really good use. And it was a marketing background in fashion, but she still knew what she was talking about. And like this game, like Chris will tell you, this game would not be where it is without Sandy. She is a pillar of this thing. Like it never would have got to where it is today without her.
Well, even if you look at customer service, now I know people will say customer service sucks. It's not good. Sandy was the one, though, who took the idea that you take customer service and you make people feel special.
Yep.
And she's constantly tried to push that and build that.
Yep, and it's been eroded since she's gone. Like that's one of the things. Like under her, Cutler Steel never would have happened. Put it that way. You'd agree with that, Algared? Oh yeah, no way that would have gone through, because she understands the community, and that's what me and Algared have always talked about when we talk about where this marketing started, and now they brought in traditional marketing people, and traditional marketing people is about squeezing every freaking cent you can out about your demographic. That's not how Sandy went about this. She took the approach of fashion, because that's what fashion does. Fashion makes you feel special, so you buy more, right? That's where the whole concierge thing came from. That's where that's what was happening. People felt like they were part. Me and Algared will tell you, we felt like we were part of the development team. We were there. We were informed. They were listening to things we were saying. And as it's grown and got bigger and bigger and bigger, we've just been kind of pushed out, right? And that was always going to be the case. Me and Algared knew that, because as it grew, that's fine, right? But back then, like you could reach out to Chris. You could reach out to Sandy and say things, and they'd go like, "That's a great idea. We'll talk about it," And obviously there were bad ideas that were put forward as well, but they were regular people you could talk to. Now, if I want to do, when do you see Chris? You just don't see him. So
Yeah,
I
we'll
do
see him
think
at
that had a-
CitizenCon earliest.
Algared?
Yeah, I do think that you always knew it was going to change. Like when it started off, that almost one-to-one service in customer service was there because there were significantly less people, significantly less.
Yeah.
But as the community grew and tripled and quadrupled, and to have that same customer service, the same one-to-one almost feel, you'd need 500,000 QA people or customer service guys.
Back then, Concierge was this small percentage, and now Concierge, like that's why they're talking about doing the tiered system, because it's got to the point now where Concierge is common as Larry, like compared to what it was, and now like people like yourself, Algared, and other people that are those really high end F8C executive level. What is it, $27,000 or something like that to get that one, or is it 15,000 or whatever? That's ludicrous, right? That's a lot of money to spend. That's a car essentially, that you spend on a video game. They probably do deserve a separate level. But the whole point is, it's just not sustainable. You can't have that many. Like we're in the millions of accounts now. So obviously that was always going to be the case, and it's not sustainable. But initially it was really good, and what do we call it? Passion before profit. That's what it was. But the passion really drew the profit. Like Algared and I will tell you, the reason we backed was we believed in this game, and that's ironically like. It takes those risk-taking people to get a project started, and they will always be there, and they'll always back you. And me, Algared, will still continue to back the project like that. But as time goes on, you like there are people that will not back this game until you can physically buy it in a physical copy. Till it's done, because they don't take risks. They don't take those people that won't pre-order a game. Those people. That's the ones I'm talking about. And then you get other people on the other side of the fence where they'll make risks, like people that went into cryptocurrency really early because they and they've made billions. And then there's people that wouldn't go into cryptocurrency until a lot later, until it was a lot more proven, and now it's dropped back again. You doubt us. That's a psychological thing. Everyone's at different levels, but it takes those risk takers to get a project off. And I guess, Algared, we had that faith, didn't we?
One of the things that I can recall is getting into Star Citizen because of Squadron 42. The first when I first saw the stuff, and talking to people recently and saying, but I've only joined since 2018. I joined for this PU. I don't care about Squadron, and it's like, but yeah.
What was part of the plan? Space, what kind of drew you into the project? Were you a passion person, or are you just more into, tell us your story there. Cannot hear you, Space. Your thing is moving. I think you've muted yourself in Discord. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Go again.
So I was just saying that, for me, I've always been a little bit less of a risk taker. I wasn't really going to be, especially because I didn't come from much money at the time when Star Citizen was just getting off the ground. So I wasn't going to spend even the $45 on a game that I was like, I don't know what is happening with this. So I followed the project for years before I actually bought in. And the big kind of switch of the flip that happened to me was, I think, 316, I'd like to say, or 315. Essentially where there was inventory was now, the big inventory change happened. And then there was a promise from CIG to not be wiping, not a promise, but an indication that they want to wipe less and things like that. So to me, those were indications that, this is a game that's on a path that I want to support. This is a game that seems to be on the right track and turn into something someday. And that's kind of where I bought in.
I think for me, it was
but until then,
that initial Kickstarter video that said, rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated and I'm a PC game. That was enough. I was like, I'd been a developer. I hated hearing how PC gaming was dying. And there's he's making a PC game. He's the guy that made Wing Commander. I played the shit out of those games. Where do I sign up? Because I was so I'm not letting my PC, and 10 12 years later, wherever we are, it's the opposite. The consoles are dying. You know, they are more PC than ever. And I think, and I've now took the mantra that a lot of publishers will just tell you what they want things to be and say, this is the way it's going to be. So you'll start to believe them, you know, and so whenever a publisher says, well, look at loot boxes. There's an example. Yeah, loot boxes, and people slap them down like, get the fuck out of my game, you know? So, yeah, I just don't take publishers' words at all anymore. But back then,
Absolutely.
you know, we didn't really communicate as much, but, you know, the way social media has gone and all that, they can't bullshit us anymore. And we're also, it's got to that fact now that even countries are being influenced by the internet. So internet's a good thing. People can't hide anymore. So we'll see. Algared.
Yep.
Yeah, but for me it was again seeing. Even though I joined, I started backing in 2014, so I wasn't there right at the beginning. But for me, I found that first video. I started to do my due diligence and find out what all the hullabaloo from the guys in Wing Commander, not Wing Commander, in War Thunder was about. And for me, it was seeing the same video and going, okay, it's a PC game, that's good. About time we've got a proper PC game. But it was then Chris Roberts saying, and for me it was like Troy McClure from Simpsons. Hi, I'm Chris Roberts. You might remember me from such games as Wing Commander. Yeah, I mean,
that was the other part of it too, Algared. They did. I did forget to mention that they talked about space games too. And honestly, since the success of look how many space games we've had in the last 10 years, shit tons. And he couldn't get this off the ground because EA were telling him that nobody wants to play a space game. Again, that's manufacturers believing their own bullshit. Not publishers believing their own bullshit. Because obviously that's a load of shit. Look at all the games that have been successful.
And that was part of the whole Kickstarter thing is proving that there was a proof of concept, that proof that people actually wanted this type of game. That's why they did the Kickstarter, because EA was saying, oh, you know, well, I'm going on what I've heard, but EA was saying, oh, well, you know, there's no demand for this. Oh, we think there is a demand. Well, we'll prove it to you. We will get $6 million of backing.
There we go.
To say this is a proof of concept. That people do want this game.
I think I would love to know if we could get someone from EA and talk to them and say, in hindsight, do you wish you could have took this on? Because, well, the other thing is, in hindsight, now I think about it, I'm glad they didn't take it on because it wouldn't have grown. It would have come out 6-7 years ago, and it would never be the thing it is now.
Yep.
In hindsight. So yeah, that's a little bit of food for thought. We dodged a bullet. Thank you, Sandy. We'll forever be in your debt.
I've been saying that for years.
Right.
Yeah, like they would have had a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders, right, to get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. They would have been beholden to shareholders, and not only that, EA wouldn't have given them the money. They would have said, "All right, 21 million."
No way. Yeah.
And so it would have been that very first. You know, we've essentially said like the game has been restarted twice so the original 21 million they wanted from Kickstarter, and they got past that, so they made the game bigger, changed the scope, and then People of the Planet dropped. That's why we were meant to get Answer the Call 2016, 2017, because the game was essentially wrapping up and about ready to go, and then People of the Planet hit, and they went, well, we've only got one chance to make a first impression, and they added all that tech in, and so it ballooned out the development time, and that's why it's taken so much longer. But I think if they ever go back and show us what they had and what we're getting now, again, you only get one chance to make a first impression.
You only have to look at what original, you know, flying down to a planet was going to be. What was going to ArcCorp going to be?
Yeah.
ArcCorp was going to be Area 18. That was it. That was a place you could go. That was it. And it was on rails. You'd get, you know, get the ATC. The ATC would then fly you down.
That's still better than Starfield, even at that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that was what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then People to Planet comes, and it's you can go anywhere.
So I think that's a good example, though. If you know, we would have got something akin to Starfield in a cinematic form, but I think what we're getting better than any other space game out there. So yeah, I know it's taken time, and man, I've got old while I've been following this game, Algared. I think you have too. Like it's taken a toll. It's taken a long time. It's definitely longer than I intended to wait. I thought 3-4 years when I first backed this, but it's been a hell of a ride, and I'll continue to join the journey.
I know you bag me about the number of javelins I have. one of my javelins was purchased and broke the, as the thing that pushed over the 100 million backer mark.
Yeah.
And I thought it's got to be an auspicious ship because no game is going to need more than that.
They give you a third siphon, you don't give it to me. We're no longer friends. I'm just going to say that, right? Right before they do it again. Well, they've given him 2, and I want 1. I think I've earned it. I think Algared deserves to give me 1. All right, we'll do a poll later. And we'll ask. No, they gave you 2. You've got 2. I know you've got 2. Yeah, I've seen them.
One's in my game pack. 1 was given.
Yeah, that's all right.
So
it's all right. I'll fight him for it one day, and I'll just steal it. It's fine.
Yeah, that's more likely you'll steal it.
Steal it in game or just like slip. Yeah, just look at that ship, Algared. Woo, thanks, bye.
It'll be like the Viva Dirt League episode. There's one where they're doing outfits.
Yeah.
And Ben turns up in an outfit, and Alan decides he wants it. Hey, Ben, look, I just found this new gun. But I know you like these guns. Come and have a look. Goes around the corner. Oh, guys, Ben's just been killed. As Alan comes out wearing Ben's outfit.
Yeah. So, just to answer Lady Space's question, there is no ISC this week. They're on hiatus because obviously they're doing stuff for CitizenCon. So it's just all questions this week. So if you're looking forward to ISC, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but there won't be one this week because CIG aren't doing one. So we're just purely questions. We've got probably about another hour and 7 minutes left. We might go a little bit longer. We don't have too many questions left, really, do we, Algared? How many got left? So get some questions in there, guys. If you've got questions about CitizenCons, you've got questions about ships, anything. If you've got questions for SpaceTech, get some questions in there as well. What kind of questions would be good for you, SpaceTech, if anyone had to ask just while you're here?
I think so anything to do with racing, big into racing, especially ground racing, but also just like how the game plays today. As in, I play a lot of the game, and so if you've got questions about like, oh, what ship should I buy today in the game to play, then those are the kind of questions that I'm especially equipped to handle, I think.
Obviously, the answer is the F8 Lightning, but anyway, okay, right.
Man, I remember, and you just reminded me because you said racing. In terms of rewards and completion tasks, if you go into Arena Command and you do all the phases and wait till the end of the get the scorecard come up. If you do all of those types of scenarios, then you actually get a 999 Squadron badge for Spectrum.
Oh, okay.
You complete all those.
That's cool.
So what, you got to do every racetrack and just wait for the scoreboard to come up?
All of the different modes, like the tank.
So every single one of those images.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
So you do all those and wait till the scorecard, then it attributes you as credited, and then you can actually get a 999 Squadron test Squadron badge because you've tested all of the things. So
I'll ask SpaceTech take a quick question then. What is the best racer in your opinion right now?
Right now, it's looking like for space racing, it's looking like the Fury LX is really high up there. And then for in Atmo, it feels like the P-52 is just it's always been a really good ship, the P-72, P-52, but right now specifically the P-52 is real good.
So not the Archimedes. Interesting.
No, actually, in Atmo, the P-52 seems to be better.
Well, interesting.
And the Fury LX has the highest acceleration.
Yeah, the G's that thing can pull are ridiculous.
So fastest acceleration, but lower top speed. So if it's a bendy track, then you can twist in that acceleration, but on long straights, it ends up not being as good.
Actually, I'm going to go back to an oldie and a goodie question for SpaceTech. Actually, after you, sorry, I just realized I cut you off. Finish what you're saying. Sorry, I just had a.
That was it. I finished.
Right. Remember when you and I talked about the Cartoile and the navigation? So I'm going to say to SpaceTech, when people are not racing, when the final game is out, and I know you said you're a now person, but I'm getting you to extrapolate, right? I've always theorized that wormhole navigation, because you've got to get those times down for travel purposes, that is what racers will do as a profession. Do you think that might be the case?
I think that would be awesome. I think it's a really great way to for racers to have something to do in their downtime. I kind of look at it as an extension of the of exploration gameplay. And so the kind of the only question here, right, is that if wormhole navigation is going to be done in larger ships, like say a Carrack or 600i Explorer, etc., then that's going to play very differently than the ships in which people race in.
Because then you have to race in a larger ship. That's awesome. So essentially,
it's going to be cool for sure.
It's time trials through a wormhole, and essentially every wormhole is like a downhill ski slope type of thing, right? And if you've got to do it in a large ship, a medium ship, a small ship, like it gives you categories. So every jump point is essentially a racetrack or a time trial. Plus, it's got 4 different categories. I think that's exceptionally, and it brings racing into a part of the game.
I'll just point you to Anzio Racing, because every ship can enter the Crux Cup. Every ship can enter.
But the advantage of that, though, Algared, is it's a time you just rock up to the jump point, and it'll always be there, and you can compete against the time trial. It's just it's there. And again, if you win that time trial and you get the best price in that time trial, people are going to want to buy your essential time trial recording, so you're making money. So you can just go around to every jump point, and you're essentially making royalties off everyone that you're on the top of the leaderboard for that racetrack.
And I think that is the whole purpose of racetracks. Racetracks are, the time trial racetracks are giving you the skills. That's your practice for jump point navigation runs, because you crash in those, you die.
Well, they might even, I'm thinking they might even put a thing where like the person at the top can charge the most, right? But if you're just going, well, I just need to get through the jump point, I can buy, I'm just paraphrasing here or thinking out loud, right? But like if that person's selling theirs for like 1,000, then maybe because theirs is slightly less and it costs a little, you might get a little bit less. And so you can still sell all of them. It's just like, do I buy the absolute best one? Well, yes, because I go through this jump point every day. But this one I only go through like once a month, so I'll just buy. I don't give a shit, But you remember, they've always said the more the time drops down, the more and more fuel that you'll save. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work that out, and I think there will have to be a little manual play in there by CGIG. They might have to tweak the prices every once in a while of certain things to keep that fair, because otherwise people will just keep buy the thing. But I do think that is going to be a thing, and I think there are a lot of racing ships essentially that we haven't seen yet, and the Katoala is one of them. Like that isn't even on the league for racing ships, right? SpaceTech. Nobody uses the Katoala, yeah?
Absolutely not. No chance.
And there's a model that goes into the hangar that literally shows the Katoala as a racing ship.
Yep.
So
Katoala comes from one of the stories, and it's used by a Xi'an, I believe it's a Xi'an racer, in the Murray Cup.
Yeah. And a lot of that's got to do with because the flight mechanics for the Zion ships are not in yet, right? They how that Sansokyo comes out and how the Katoala is right now will not be how they are in the final game. They're very sideways maneuverable, and that's just not in right now, and it's not needed for Squadron 42, just like Armor's not needed for Squadron 42. So when all those things come around, they'll go in eventually.
I've always thought that Katoala, and I think now even the Furies will be really good for ships that are, people who are double joysticks.
Well, you and I said too, the original Katoala where it had 2 people in it, one was to fly and the other was the scanner to to record the jump. And that's why the original Pisces, when me and Algared theorized what it was that you had to have 2 people in it. One controlling the scanning station to navigate it, and one to do that. But now it appears that you can do that soloistically. You don't need the second person. But I don't know, Algared, you can speak for yourself here, but I still think there's a third version of that Pisces coming, and that will be the scanner variant, essentially.
Yep. And, going back to racing, if we're still there, if you're after a racer for a straight run, the Herald is by far, if you look at the Ahomani track for the Crux Cup at Orison, the Drake Herald dominates. It is has the fastest time because it just kills on the straights.
What about you two? But I honestly think drag racing will probably become more of a vehicle-based than in space in a straight line. I don't know.
Yep.
Is that going to be a
I
thing?
hope so.
Space? You reckon more vehicle based racing down the road, like Noxes and?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think like already there's like through some of the events that Atmo does, such as the System 7 and Daymar Rally, we do see there's a lot of people who are huge ground racing enthusiasts. I think Herbie was in chat earlier today in Twitch chat, and he's the recent champion for System 7, and like there's a lot of love for it. I will say the most recent patch 320 and 321 have done an absolute number to the ground vehicles. They're in a pretty terrible state right now.
Some are better than some of them better than others. Like I was in an Ursa the other day, and that thing is noticeably better. Right? That used to roll all the time. It still rolls, but like it's way better. So I think they've done one or two key vehicles, but not tweaked them all. So I do think over subsequent patches they'll all get better. But
I hope so, because they broke some of them. Like the STV is completely busted. It doesn't work anymore. The Cyclone RC boost doesn't work. Like some ground vehicles are in a really bad spot right now. But
I'm hoping
hopefully they will get better soon.
I'm hoping in the future there's some kind of what would they call that when you were in high school, Algared? The baton races, something akin to baton races. Relay, like a relay. That's it. Yeah, thank you. So something like a relay where we get boats, off-road vehicles, and then on-road. So like a three segment race of some description. So and some people will choose just to hover bike across the water, but that might be a disadvantage to actually having a physical boat or stuff like that. You get where I'm going with this. So you get this multi-part race, and it's not just across the ground.
If you are interested in something like that, the most recent finale for the System 7 that was hosted by Atmo had a relay race of sorts, where it was like the STV followed by the Ursa, followed by the Cyclone, followed by the Dragonfly. So that was a really great event.
I actually did pitch a racing idea. Do you remember what I pitched, Algared? It was similar to Scarlet Apex, wasn't it? But it was more content creator focused. So I had an idea for getting bunches of content creators together and basically having so it was almost like a here in Australia when they do Bathurst, they have a race here called Bathurst 1000 where they literally do 1,000 laps of this racetrack. And basically my idea that they have a promo race before that event. So my idea was to have like a content creator promo event before one of the other events, and basically just get all the content creators in there in teams of like 4 or whatever. But I think I said it before Scarlet Apex, wasn't it? Do you remember what I said? It's been a while. It's been like 6 months since I pitched that.
Yeah, can't remember what the view you were looking, but you were looking at doing a kind of a combat-y type.
Yeah, similar.
Where
similar
people get together and fundraising and stuff. But
and at the time, I didn't know Scarlet Apex was a thing. But mine was full combat, like people could die and everything. So, but yeah, it was a very small track, and it was basically like a race battle to the death race, essentially.
It will be curious to see how Death of a Spaceman impacts some of the best of the best racers, right? Like if you can potentially lose everything, how are you going to convince people that they need to like race as hard as they can all the time?
So basically what we've seen is that seems to be through the insurance of the respawn system. So if you're going to a high, so basically that's what we've kind of theorized, and words to it, that effect seems to be what's coming through. So if you're going in as a mercenary on foot into an FPS environment where you're more than likely going to die, you can pay an a short-term insurance premium. That means for the next, like just for the hour, you'll come back with a better body. So it's where if you have your general insurance is way down here, but it costs a lot less. But if you die, you've only got a certain number of them. But so in some cases, like if you're going into a military one, the military might pay your insurance because you're on a particular mission where you've got a high chance of death, things like that. So it allows them a law-based reasons to change the insurance and respawn level, so to speak.
The other way in which you protect yourself against that is you practice in Arena Commander, which is the in-game sim. And if you go into Microtech, you can actually still see the sim pods. The early backers would remember back in the hangars when we had in the second version of third version of a hangars where you actually had the sim pod and you could actually access Arena Commander from the sim pod, or just going by the screen. But the sim pod is on Microtech. You go into Microtech and you can see those round kind of tire-shaped things. They're sim pods where you would go and get in and access Arena Commander. And, you know, that's how you practice. It's always been a thing in Chris Roberts' games. Even in Wing Commander, you could practice flying the ship and doing missions in the ship's sim pod. Because death matters.
All right. Next question.
Next question.
We've doubled the number of questions we had.
Okay, so Death Factor had a question. In the past CitizenCons for limited chassis ship releases, pre-orders like the Kraken, did CIG allow attendees a first stab at the ships?
No, they just got the first knowledge of it. In fact, you'd often see people that as soon as they got the CitizenCon, and it'll happen here as well, like if the Zeus is a thing or whatever ship is a thing, the first time you'll see it is a photo of that brochure we talked about before. I remember seeing the brochure for the Kraken, I think it was the Hammerhead or the Pioneer or something like that, the Polaris, like all of them have come from photos of the brochure, and you'll see it before. So like at 9 o'clock in the morning when people work in that door, 5 minutes later there'll be a post on Reddit. I guarantee it.
While I don't think they got first stab at those ships, because I think the ships would go on sale at the same time, I think what they did get is kind of an ability to buy it at, you know, you've got a guaranteed yes, you can buy it if you want it, that type of thing. But I'm guessing because I haven't been to CitizenCon, so I don't know.
I think the only thing they ever got exclusive that I can remember was those 2 gun skins. Remember? So basically, they gave a gun skin that you could purchase online, and they basically, there was going to go, right, well, you guys pick which one you want. And so the crowd was smart and just went, both. So they got both. And so everyone that went to that CitizenCon got both those skins, and then ever since then, they've never done that. Because they learned that the crowd will just manipulate them. So yeah, they got both of them.
And the majority on the YouTube and the
we're not happy.
watching,
Because it's like, why do they get an exclusive to an event that I can't physically get to because I live on the other side of the world? So they've kind of removed those exclusives, and as they should. You know, like I know you're going there, but that's what you get. You get to be there in person. That's the exclusive you get. You know, you shouldn't get it. Just there's always been this real disconnect between being there in person and not being there, and it is really shown me as every year's gone past. This is not for us. It is for CIGs. It's a staff morale exercise, is what it's always been, and that's why they move it around as well. Because then they, you know, Frankfurt gets a turn, Manchester gets a turn, because it invigorates the staff at that location. Except for the key staff that get to go to every single one, but. Yeah, it's never really been for us. That's why it's always in person. If they'd given a shit about us, it would just always would have been digital. You know, the fact that digital was really an afterthought, even when we had 3 years of COVID, they didn't do it to the final year. It kind of tells you everything you need to know. Anyway.
Yep.
Next question.
All right, next question. Any other ships you guys think may or may not come out for CitizenCon? I believe that's an episode we're going to do later on.
Yeah, we'll do that this weekend, but also we also did a video on the Zeus, obviously.
Yeah.
You can also look at the podcast I did with Space Tomato. That kind of goes through the ships that are all there ready to come, you know, and you can look on the roadmap yourself. There's about 15 ships that are all kind of rounding completion and all that, all by CitizenCon AE. So from between now and the end of the year, there is 15 ships that can they won't all drop, but there is 15 that could drop.
Yep. So, but we may do an episode on that, and yes, I can hear Lunamaria saying, you guys like putting ships on, you know, putting shows aside. Hey, if you guys give us ideas that we can put aside to.
Sometimes things just drop
later.
Sometimes things drop in our lap and they're time sensitive, you know. And sometimes there are ones that, like, just to be honest, that episode that we did on the Squadron 42 stuff, me and Algared re-recorded that. Right, we recorded it back on around September 20th, and then we had to delay it because there was a couple episodes that had to go before that. And I'm glad we did. Algared didn't want me to at the time, didn't you, Algared? You went, no, we need to get that out now. It's really cool. Yeah. And then a couple of other pieces of information dropped in our lap, and it changed the episode. And then Paul was there, so we re-recorded with Paul. So it was the first, you know, I think on Patreon, if you want to see that episode, it is there. So episodes that we record and they sometimes don't make it, but they're similar enough, we will put them up on Patreon for people to watch. And we've had 2 or 3 episodes like that this year. So
yeah. It's not often. It's not often we do them for Patreon. You know, it's not that they're
Hmm.
done specifically for Patreon. It's just that we figure, hey,
Hey, look at our stuff up.
yeah, look at our stuff up. Or look at what we were thinking. Yeah, we've changed this. We didn't
Yeah.
like what, you know, there were some episodes. There's one episode certainly we did, and you and I just felt we've got the info. It just didn't feel right. We
Yep.
were just,
Oh,
but
there's-
we thought, hey, we
yeah.
put the effort in. We busted our guts. You know,
Mm.
we put the hours in doing it. Yeah, let's just put it up on.
Yeah, there was. I think we did a, and we want to redo it. There's one sitting there called a "Can we fix it for the Redeemer?" And we recorded that with Paul, but it just there was something wrong with the episode. It just didn't flow right, and it felt
Feel right. Yeah.
yeah. And so we'll redo it another time. But all of us were really tired when we did, and whenever we're tired, you know that we waffle, right? And you'll see that in the F8C one that we did this week, because both Algared and I were waffly. That should have been a 20-minute episode. It was a 30-minute episode because we were both waffling.
I was buggered.
Yeah.
I was absolutely wrecked.
So, you know, and it was the same thing when we did that Redeemer one, but it was like a 50-minute episode that should have been like half an hour. So we're like, well, we're going to redo that, you know. But that is the nature of how we do it live. We don't edit, and we just give it raw and uncut. And I don't know if that's appealing to you guys or not, but it just shows us all warts and all. So that's just how we've approached it.
I think there's a good space for that kind of content. I think there's plenty of like very cut down, like precise or very specific content. I think there's a joy in watching people like arrive at the conclusions that they do. So I think that's valuable.
Yeah, there's definitely a lime element. You'll see us like react to things and you'll say something and it'll bounce off me. You don't get that in edited content.
And I think that's a really key thing. It's that conversational aspect, and that means the conversation does at times range all over.
We can't hide anything either. It's honest.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is. So, you know, and if we make a mistake, we'll own it. So that's just how it is. Anyway.
But I do notice in YouTube chat, North End Trooper saying, kill it, burn it, crash it. That's Paul, most likely. You'd be surprised.
I think, I'm going to be honest, I will say just to the note of that episode, and I don't know if did we put that one up on Patreon or not? I can't remember.
I don't know yet. I think we said we would put it up on Patreon when we do the other one, but I can't remember.
I'll give the kind of takeaway then. My takeaway from that, from what you and Paul said, was that a second gunship needs to be made that fixes all the problems that you two had with that ship. And I agree with you. Where you guys landed is where the kind of community was split. And so I think that there are people that love the Redeemer, so the Redeemer should be a thing. So I think they should just make a second ship that kind of goes to that original promise. I don't think that'll solve all the problems. And I think everything Paul said, and you said that was not law-based, because I think you can chuck all the law out, but all the points that you guys made were fucking spot on. And I literally agree, especially the cockpit thing that Paul brought up. So his main thing was the cockpit was it shouldn't have been up on the top level. It should have been on the bottom level. And I agree with him. That when I've thought it through military-wise, if you essentially flip the decks on the Redeemer and made it so the top part was transferable and then they had the whole bottom deck on the bottom, that ship actually works really, really well. But then it would look like this giant weird humpback, but it works like from a military perspective, because everything Paul explains, like, you know, how you got to go up the ladder and all that type of stuff. Like that's removed.
You're still in the episode.
Yeah, I know, but it's all removed. He wasn't wrong. So anyway, yeah. So all I'm saying, long story short, there's room there for a second gunship. All right. Next question. Sorry, I waffled.
Have you heard? This is Division asking. Have you heard they supposedly sold over $2 million in day one of the F8C?
Let's go have a look. Let's go have a look.
That's not what I've heard. I know when we were doing the episode the other day, the sales had certainly gone up, because we did look, and it was the first 2 hours the sales had jumped. But
I believe it was 1.7 million. If
God,
I gotta
find the funding.
funding.
There we go. Down there. They've hidden it now on us, but let's have a look. 1.7, yeah.
Yep.
So that's according to them, on the 11th they made 1.7 mil.
Oh, Jesus.
Pretty amazing.
And if you do the hourly one, you can actually see the increase as well.
Might buy an F7C. Nah. Yeah. Nah. Yeah.
So
Crazy.
They did. So there you go. If you want to check that, all you need to do is go to their website and look at funding. and you can see their funding. They don't actually tend to hide that. They used to do that and then show this. They don't talk about it as often these days because people used to then say they're just after money.
Yeah.
And hassle and use it as an axe to grind.
This kind of leans back to when Kickstarter ended. This shows you the expansion of the game into what it was going to be for 2016, and you can only imagine with people to Planet dropping that. You know, that went to another level. Yeah.
And I know people complain about the even the idea of continuing this, and even back in the day after Kickstarter, people were saying, "Oh, keep going," and Sergio said, "Look, we can keep doing this. We can keep this going. But the more we do this, and the more you give us, the bigger we'll make it."
Yep.
And the backer said, "Do it."
Because that's the type of people that were there back then. Like now people wouldn't say that, but the people that were the risk takers back then, they just want the best game they'd ever seen. So they were like, yeah, make it huge. And I'm still in that camp. Keep going, you know?
Keep going.
And all these ones, it's really interesting because all these ones are ships. Like some of them we haven't seen yet. So we've got the Crucible here, the Vanguard here, the Prowler here. So there's just a whole bunch of it. Genesis Starliner's in there. And the
Cruiser's in there.
Yeah.
Even.
And the very last one is still one, which is a chance ship modularity. And it's one I come back to again and again because, you know, we're going to get more modules. But obviously...
And pets.
Well, that's...
And pets.
Yep, pets was the second last one. But we're going to... Modules will be more of a thing once Squadron 42 is out the door, I think. And that's why we're seeing things like the Galaxy and that coming online because they're round in the corner. So, yeah. Anyway. All right, next question.
I've done that one because that was Luminaria's question from 5:45. We're slowly catching up. We're only an hour behind.
Yeah, now. Wait, it's an hour behind. What's 7? You said quarter. Oh, 5:45. I thought you said quarter past 6. My bad. Sorry.
So an hour and a half behind.
Yeah.
All right. So Darth Sebius said, "How do you folks feel about the fact that these rewards are based around the amount spent versus when people backed? Feels like a missed goodwill opportunity to not reward earlier backers. Earlier backers always got the buy it cheaper. That was always what was said."
Yeah, but I will say someone as an earlier backer, way back when Kickstarter was on, they said there'll be no exclusives, and that's kind of changed quite a bit now. Realistically, there are exclusives that are timed exclusives. So and this is the thing, like I run into so many content creators that will fight me tooth and nail on this. Like, and I mean a lot of them, Algared, right? You're the only person that tends to agree with me. They've said time and time again, everything will be earnable in game, but you get these people that swear, no, that won't be, right? I've heard it from everything like the best in show skins to the executive edition and all that. But I've always stood by what they said was, it'll be earnable in game. And even till last year, remember when I was telling you about my interaction with Tyler? Tyler said the Banu Cube code, so the code that you could get he said this is the first truly exclusive in-game item for Star Citizen, right? And what he said is because the Banu Cube will be available in game, but this is a Banu Cube replica. So the replica is an exclusive item because the Banu Cube will actually work. This is just a box that doesn't do anything, right? So really, it's not as cool as the actual Banu Cube, but the Banu replica is exclusive. So if that's from Tyler, as in earlier on in this year, and that is still the case, that means all those skins, like the executive skins. Now, this is the thing, though, Algared, this is where Algared and I will tell you how hard is that going to be to get. Do you have to grind for 6 months to get that skin? Still earnable in game, right? And that's where me and I guess Algared disagree with other content creators, because you'll talk to Paul and he's like, no, our best in show skins will never be available. But I disagree. Why can't you have a quest chain or mission chain that comes up around AIE that if you grind the shit out of it, you can get access to maybe 1 or 2 specific best in show skins for said specific ship? You can make them as hard or as easy to get as CIG want them to be. Right? And that's up to them. It's the same thing with a scythe. You can get a scythe in game, but you have to go fight a Vandal to collect it. Right? Yep. So you can get a scythe. Everything is earnable in game. They've said that, right? And they've said
the way I look at it,
people disagree with us.
So
go ahead.
The way I look at it is that there's no good reason for them to like prevent you from acquiring them once the game has gone live. There just isn't one. Like you could say today, there's a reason that they don't talk about whether or not it's earnable in game because it'll drive sales, it'll drive people to buy the paints, buy the CCUs, etc. But once the game is live and you can't spend money on it anyway, I don't see what would be the benefit to CIG to preventing you from getting it.
And it's free content for the game for them. It's double use. It's like they've said about all the flare items. All those flare items will eventually be things that you rep grind for. It essentially gives you things to earn. Like that's this whole game is rep grind. You will, you know, if you like, this is how I envision it. And to words of this effect, Algared, tell me if you disagree with me. Say, for example, you want to do repair, right? Now you've never played the game before, so you don't have a Crucible, you don't have a Vulcan. You rock up in your Aurora, and so the first repair mission might be a hand tool mission. And after you've done a couple of hand tool missions and you've earned some money, they'll go, right, here is the first level tier ship of, now whether that's still a Vulcan or whatever, you can now have access to buy the ship if you want it. So then you go out with a Vulcan and then you rep grind with that. And you might even go to a different faction. So you might have to get, because that was an Aegis ship, you might have to have faction points with Aegis and with the person you want to buy the ship off, like that. And so when you go up to Crucible, you've got to, maybe you need a bit of Anvil. Anvil might even just bring the price of it down. Oh, I'm in good with Anvil, so I can buy Anvil chips for cheaper. There's multiple ways they can do this. So manufacturer based, they can do it. Are you in repair based? The faction within. We can also tell they're going to be factions that are universe wide, like the UEE and different pirate factions. But then you got local factions like Crusader and Hurston that are just around a planet. Then you've got ones that are just inside a system as well. So And they've also said that you have to maintain those reputations over time. So it's going to be really easy to maintain a system-wide one. But if I live in Stanton and then I decide to go visit SpaceTech and he lives 4 systems over in Odin or wherever I go, if I then go there and I stay there, over time, that rep will drop, just like in real life. Like I have reputation here in the town. Like I know the people around me that I live with and all that. If I go to where Algared lives, I know nobody. I've got to rebuild all those connections and social connections. They are building a sim of real life, are they not? You add all the dots together, what I'm making makes sense, right? And if you don't think it makes sense, that's fine by you. Algared, would you agree with what I've said, or am I crazy lunatic?
Pretty much. But even if you look at everything will be available in game.
Yep.
Even if CIG do not sell a best in show from 2014 skin again, I take out my ship with a 2014 skin. You steal my ship. You've now got the ship
2014 skin. Yep.
Right. So I take out my scythe. You kill me. You've got my scythe.
Yeah. Essentially,
I reclaim my scythe.
Couldn't I just take it out 5 times and 5 different people have my skin? And then I re-get it from the store where I got it from? Yeah, so now, you can do that too.
And CIG have talked about, if you do insurance fraud, you will lose your LTI token. So, the LTI or any insurance on your ship. So, if you're caught literally doing insurance fraud where, oh, here, take my ship. Oh, I'm claiming it. Oh, here, take my ship. Here, claiming it. You will lose the insurance on your ship, including LTI. So
I think it just comes back to that whole thing, Algared, where you and I believe the last thing that was heard about something, kind of like where it was with Death Over Spaceman until that dropped a couple of years ago again. And we just heard things so much long ago, and until they change, we've taken them as gospel. And generally speaking, that's remained true. It hasn't really changed.
You look at Death Over Spaceman, and it was pretty much
spot on. True. I think I'd say less than 5% of that really updated, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and it really what was updated was not necessarily the mechanic.
Lore, wasn't it?
Well, not even the lore. It was really giving reasons why it fitted. So working out a mechanism so that Death of a Spaceman made sense without, why am I just reappearing? So it gave that sense of.
So there's a really good example there. So, and Eminence in Shadow on Twitch says CIG won't implement a player-controlled custom paint system because that would reduce pass sales. No, they will. once the game comes out. Because what they've realized is that if they can make paints now, it generates money, and all they're doing is giving you those, you don't have to earn them in game. You know what I mean? So it's a very artificial way for them to make. You think about how much money they've made off those paints. They would have made millions to go towards the game, right? And you just get access to them straight away. You don't have to buy them in game. So you're essentially, you get to use them now, and you've got a shortcut to them when the game goes live. But can I earn them? Can I recreate them myself? Absolutely. So I'm paying that $5 or whatever it is to get access to that skin in game now. That's the advantage I'm getting, right?
Yep.
So, and that's why they haven't put the skin system in, because they've realized they can use it to fund the game a bit more. Anytime they can get a little bit of money out of us to keep funding the game, they will, because the promise stands true. Any money that was raised before the game releases will go towards its development. So I have no problem giving them money that I will not, that I can essentially get for free when the game releases, because I know it's going to funding the game. You got to remember that. I know you're physically, like they call it pledges to the cows come home, but legally in certain countries you are buying something, right? You are buying something, but that money is going towards someone's wages and salary, and that is what it's for. So it is making this game, right? So don't think that it's not valuable. It's not, and well, Algared, I think you can speak this to way better than I could. All the money you've spent, that's why you spent so much, because you were like me. You wanted this game to succeed, yeah? That's why you have spent so much money. He's not a freaking lunatic that has brought 3 javelins because he's got hundreds of friends. He brought those because he believed in this project. Much like he said where he brought a javelin to get across a $100 million line. He wanted to be that person that was... You can speak about it, Algared, but I know you and why you did what you did, right? That's what I'm trying to...
It was to support the game. It was to support development and see the game come out and for it to be as good as could be. So...
But yeah, don't think Algared is crazy.
I am, but...
You did it to back the game, though, and it's people like you that has pushed the game to where it is, right? This game would not be where it was without Wales. It would not be where it was without people that backed it from the very beginning, because it took risk takers to get it off the ground. And those people that have called it a scam all the way along, they're the same type of people that won't pre-order a game. They're the same type of people that just play Call of Duty year after year, etc., etc. They want safe and stable. And let's be honest, most publishers are safe and stable. They will not... Look, think about all the best games you've ever seen, right? So your Half-Lifes, your Dooms, any of those studios, when they come out and the date is when it's done, because they're taking a risk and they want it to work, they're the best game you'll ever see. And you think back on all the best games you've ever seen as a PC gamer, it's not when it's pushed out, when it's rushed. It is when that is done and polished and amazing. And that's why everything I've seen about this game as it's gone along, it's got that when it's done approach. And that's why I have no doubt when, like you were saying, SpaceTech, it at least has to be an 8 out of 10. I got a feeling it'll be better than that. I think
so too.
Yeah, I'm like, and I know Paul has said like he's read the because he's listened to the audio files, and you can basically put the whole story of Squadron 42 together, and he reckons it's like an 8 out of 10. But there's also gameplay elements in there. You can't see the gameplay. You can't see the in-between cinematic sequences and all that type of stuff. So if the script is an 8 out of 10, and you add all those action sequences, the celebrities and all that type of stuff, the points start to creep up. So that's my hope. So yeah, the story might be 8 out of 10, but you add, a good story has a really good action scene, and it just kind of puts that, it elevates it. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it's got other elements that increase the quality of it. Anyway.
Yep. Next question. I'm just double checking that I haven't said it. How do you go? We did that one. So Riddick had a question. They said, with ships like the RSI Aquila, will CIG show them in a package but not upgradable? If you mean the things like the Ursa and the P-52, they're listed, but they're not in the package. If things are listed as individual things in the package, then you can upgrade them. And I think that's part of the way the code is. But the Ursa, the Aquila has always had the Ursa. The P50, I think very originally it was going to be Ursa or, without the P52, and then it just it's got both. But that's always been listed as it's there, and it's just, so I don't think they will list it, but you just got to know it's there. And I know people sometimes don't realise the Ursa, the Aquila's got the Ursa and a P52, that the Carrack got an Ursa and the C8. But they're the things that, you've just got to pay attention to, and that does influence it, does impact on the cost of those ships as well. So
just remember something I heard from during the week. Me and Algared got a very good offer after last week's live stream. Someone from one of the airlines that works at one of the airlines reached out to us and offered us some very cheap tickets to CitizenCon for a flight. Unfortunately, there are other things in there, so personal reasons why Algared and I can't make it. But it was a very, very nice offer and very, very cheap. And I was kind of blown away by how cheap it was. But there's just other personal reasons why we can't make it. I would love to go, as would Algared, but we're going to endeavour to make it next year. And then also the other part of it is, like, if I had gone, I wouldn't been able to stream it with you guys. But I guess what we're giving up, and this is a real content creator thing, is the networking opportunity, is to kind of rub shoulders with CIG and other content creators and stuff like that. So that's the real disappointment for me. But everything else I would have got at home. So yeah, I don't know.
Yes, Glass Sword. The 600i Explorer does get a G12. Yes.
So I just wanted
100%.
I just wanted to say thank you to the person that made that offer to me and Algared. So I really do appreciate you going above and beyond to offer that to us. So thank you. Right. Sorry about that, Algared. Next question.
Zarcast, wow. Thank you for the compliment. That's all I can say.
What did he say?
All right, so
What did he say?
woohoo. First time I get to watch Algared live, it makes me so happy. My role model in life. We need more guys like
He
him.
did not say that. You lied. I read that did not say that.
He does say that.
No, he said, woo, first time I get to watch Arag, this makes me so happy. That's what he said. He didn't say anything about a role model. Oh, no, then he did later. Right, okay, yeah. All right, take it back.
So,
weird kink, whatever floats your boat.
all I can say is, wow,
right.
Humbled.
Yeah.
So Aaron Johnson has a question. What do you guys think about the handhelds coming out? The Go, Stream Deck, Ali, to play Star Citizen on them.
Yeah, so
Yeah, go SpaceTech.
I've spent a good amount of time kind of I've used the Steam Deck, and I've spent a good amount of time understanding the capabilities of the Ally as well. And it's just like, with the current state of optimization in Star Citizen, I never recommend it. You already need a pretty good PC to run Star Citizen compared to most games. So the handhelds, personally, I don't think you're going to have an enjoyable experience on them, even if the controls weren't an issue on it anyway. But hopefully with the introduction of Vulkan, the soon TM near future, we should see better optimization, and ideally that would mean that handhelds, as they get better as well, will start to be able to play SC. But I'll say don't hold your breath for it. I think we're probably at least 3 to 4 years out from both handhelds getting good enough and optimization getting good enough.
Okay, I think I'm having a Discord issue because both you boys have frozen, but I'll see if that
I do think our voice is still coming through.
Yeah,
so.
your voice is coming through, but both your videos are frozen. So I might be having an issue with that. I don't know if I can fix it, but we'll see what happens with that. So apologies for that in advance. I will try and fix it on my end.
At least I'm not sitting there with my mouth open or...
Yep, you're not catching flies. Yep.
That's right. So that's a bonus.
All right, you've just refreshed. Perfect.
Yep, I did see that.
Yep, cool. No problem.
My question is, just based on what you're saying there, do you think you'd be able to do, say, Arena Commander on one of those? Because, Arena Commander race, limited content, limited
they're definitely
information.
I think I would need to try it out. I think that's something that's worth trying, especially the Star Marine modes. I think even more than even more than like the AC tracks, because the thing with the AC tracks is that I believe in certain cases they still load like the entire planet as an accessible space. So I think the one above, what is it, LS3 or something like that, isn't like it's completely accessible. You can fly around the entire planet there. So you're still going to run into all the same like RAM restrictions and things like that you do usually. But Star Marine actually might be doable since it's a relatively small playable area.
I've just realized, and C Daddy will be able to talk about this too, as with you, Algared. Being a former developer, if I ever played or did research at home on an Xbox or a PlayStation, I could write it off on my tax. So if we review Squadron 42 on a Steam Deck or a console, we could write that off on our tax, Algared. Ta-da! Depreciation. What do you call it? Depreciation. Yeah. So you could get an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Steam Deck, Algared, and as long as you review stream Squadron 42 on it, you can put it off on your tax. That is an interesting one.
Certainly for our yeah. But,
well, I have no doubt as content creators, they'll probably ask us to review it. I have no doubt at some point. We'll do it anyway. But yeah, but it would be
I'm
nice.
looking forward to Squadron. So, yeah.
I have no doubt they'll give us copies to give away, and stuff like that. So because let's be honest, this whole project's been word of mouth up until this point, so they're going to use the tools that they have. So yeah. I don't know. I look forward to playing it and reviewing it. I've talked to a lot of people that reckon that they're only ever going to play it once, but I think at the very least I'll at least play it twice, and I reckon you'll be the same as this. I'll play it once when it comes out, and the second time at the very least before the second one drops to connect it to the first. Yeah.
I have a feeling, and I'm going to suggest you turn off the bot because we're about
we'll do
22 minutes or 21 minutes before we would say we'd end, and we do have a pile of questions. So if you've got any more questions, suffer.
Next week, Algared, don't be so harsh. Come on, next week.
No, because the bot's closed. Yeah, they can ask them next week, but we won't be safe. So yeah, just made myself lose my track of thought.
It's all right. Next question. Yeah, bot's closed off. Next question.
Yeah. So that one done. So what's your take on IX Systems being at SitCon? They made NAS storage stuff, new server backbones.
I think that was the company we talked about before, yeah? IX Systems? I don't know.
I don't know.
How'd they write it? I'll look at the question myself. Hold on.
So that's a question from Monster AV.
Monster AV. Hang on, just going down the list. Monster AV, taking the IX Systems at SysCon. They made NASA storage stuff, new server backbone. Yeah, potentially. Don't know. It's a tough one. Yeah. I don't know enough about the actual the company for me to be able to answer that one for you. But yeah, maybe Monster Avery, tell us a little bit what you think, and we'll read it out, man.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll just share your thoughts, Monster Avery. Right, next question. Sorry, can't answer that. Sorry, Monster. But yeah.
Yep. Zero has a question. Do you think they'll ever open the F8C as an option to CCU or stay gated to this event or other similar events?
Have to wait and see. And that's kind of what we talked about today, didn't we, Algared? We kind of said, well, if it's only available for 2 weeks ever, not so bad. But if it's available every year, I don't know. I have to wait and see. It really.
Yeah, personally, I think this is going to end up just like the Heartseeker Hornet. This is going to show up every year, I think.
Actually, Heartseeker Hornet's one of them. Me and Algared thought of the Caterpillar with Vandal Swarm. It's a little bit like that. As long as you do the event every time it comes around, you can earn access to it like the Caterpillar or the Gladiator.
Actually, that's the right way to put it. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, next one, Algared. Unless you want to add to that. Yep.
Mongo Mo, F8 or Vanguard?
I'm a multiplayer person, but I don't like the Vanguard.
Yeah, if you're multiplayer, you'd probably look at
Connie, MSR, Corsair. Like it's like we said in our buyer's guide, fighters are just so overpriced, and I think that's because they're their gameplay is available now. So you know how we've always said, Algared, like as gameplay comes online, the prices of the ships will go up. That's why fighters have always been expensive, because that's all they do and it's available right now. So it makes them really accessible. But by the same token, as time goes by, you know, like you've only got to put this next to a Corsair, an MSR, or a Constellation, and you go, shit, that costs a lot of money. Because they do so much more, plus they can do the combat. And I can do it with other people. And I can do cargo. And I can do data running. And I can do exploration, or whatever it is, you know. And what was it we said in the video, Al? The Aquila was like, what, $310? So for $10 more, you get the Aquila, the ability to do exploration, cargo, a rover, and
a snub.
And a Merlin.
And
like
a snub.
Or is it Merlin or the Aquila? Like that's nuts. It's the same. It's the same reason we don't recommend the Eclipse, because it costs $300. Yeah, it's really good at what it does, but again, if you think of the gameplay of what an Eclipse does, generally that's a weekend-based vehicle. It's the same thing for this. Most combat, if you think about how raids work, and obviously you go off and do it on your own, but if you want those really big fights, those big org fights, they're like akin to raids in World of Warcraft or other games, right? They're a weekend-based affair because that's when most people will be on. You'll get the people during the week that do your economic-based stuff, the people that don't work, so they've got more free time. They'll be on there playing, setting up everything for the weekend. The weekenders will come home from work, and bang, it'll all kick off. So they'll be the ones that buy the ships, where the other people that work during the week will earn the ships. And you can put it all together. It's happened in every game before. It'll happen again. Weekend-based ship. You're going to get so much more use out of a multi-crew vehicle than you are out of a single-seat fighter. And I know CIG will hate the shit out of us for telling people not to buy fighters, but we love this game, but we don't want to have you have buyer's remorse still, Algared. I think that's it in a nutshell. We want you to, give CIG money, but do it in a clever way.
And having said that, the F8 is, as much as I say it is, I think it's expensive and overpriced. It is still cheaper in comparison to the Glaive, because in the way the arms race goes, it goes the Blade gets trumped by the Gladius, gets trumped by the Scythe, gets trumped by the Hornet, gets trumped by the Glaive, gets trumped by the F8.
Let me put it this way, Algared.
Go.
If you want a combat ship and you've just spent $300, and I don't want to insult people, right? But for $25 more, and I don't want to use the word moron, right? But for $25 more, you can get a Redeemer.
Yep.
Why the hell would you get the F8 Lightning when you can get a Redeemer for $25 more? Like, and the Redeemer has way bigger guns. It's multi-crew. It has modularity. It has a bit of cargo. You can actually do missions with that thing. And yes, you can solo with that ship, even though you can't fire all the guns and it is a bit sloppy, but you can do it. You can actually do box missions with that, and it's $25 more. If you want a ship that does a little, it does the combat, plus it does a little bit more, get a Redeemer. And $5 again, you get to a Caterpillar. So again, if you brought an F7C and you go beyond that refund period, you have ways out. But I just cannot, for the life of me, say that ship is good value. Is it an awesome ship? Absolutely. Yeah. Are they relying on hype? Absolutely. And I guarantee you there's people out there that have resisted, and I guarantee you there's people that succumb to the hype. And let's be honest, we have all succumbed to hype at some point, and that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes, right? And I guarantee you most of the people I've run into that Impulse brought the F8 are newer type of backers. And there are also people that just have too much money they don't know what to do with.
And there'll be people who buy it and they do regret it, and there'll be people who buy it and love every bit about it. And you know...
I think we can say confidently, Algared, this is the first time you've kind of not brought a ship, because you were given it.
Yes, although I don't have the gold version yet because I haven't got it. If I get a gold ticket, will I buy it?
You're not missing out on anything by not having
out on anything, because I've already got the base version.
Well, you can just take this. You can just take the skin off one of the ones you've got.
Yeah, just take the pink off. And
but I don't think you take I don't think the gold one, the executive one, actually has a skin. It's gold trim. Whereas the other one...
I don't know enough about it, Algared, because I don't own them, obviously. But if you go into game and go into where the paints are, you should be able to unequip them off.
Yep.
Yeah, at least for the 10K the
Yes.
10K
Yeah.
award.
But the executive one, I don't think you can because that's actually gold stuff on the
I'm
ship.
going to be
Yeah.
honest, and this is just a bit of a critique at CIG. That Shockwave skin is probably the most phoned in skin I've seen. Like, for the amount of money people are spending, that needs to be upped. It's got this weird color tone to it, and it's just monotone. Put it this way, the default skin looks better than it does because it's got multiple panels and all this stuff, where the Shockwave is just flat gold and flat green. There's, like, when you've just showed off the Santuck UI and how cool a green can actually look, and then you bring out that, it looks phoned in. Just saying. Spend a bit more time in DataForge and make that look a little bit better, please. Put some panel ones on it.
To change that slightly,
Mhm.
Maxwell says, what's the difference between F8C and the gold ticket? Basically, it's the skin. So the skin of the F8C with the 10K reward is kind of this grey colouring, whereas the gold ticket is more a white with red trim, more like a Hornety type colouring.
Yeah, basically the gold one's white Hornet and the other one's like a darker Storm Grey. I think they call it a Storm. Was it called Storm something, Algared? Storm
Shadow or something like that.
But yeah, I'm also surprised they didn't sell a skin with this thing. I was really surprised. Like, why wasn't there a fifth skin that was just you could purchase it? Kind of surprised there. Yeah. Stormfire. There you go. So, yeah, I reckon there'll be some skins for it down the line. C Daddy, I just got a real quick question for you. Have you given away did you get one to give away? Like, as a developer, did you get one to lose, essentially? And I'd also like to ask you, from a CIG developer perspective, are you on a special account, or as soon as you log it, like, how does it work from your side of the fence? I'd love to know that, if you can give us that insight. How does it work as a developer losing your platinum ticket? How does that work for you guys? Is it something you've got to activate? Like, I'd love that little insight if you could give us that from a gameplay perspective.
Tell us when you're on.
Okay, so he says, no, there is only one account that the QA team is running that has the ticket. So they've got to log in on that, and that's why it's appearing on different servers. Okay, cool. Right, so it is extremely rare then. If there's only one account, that means they can only be active on one of the 4 servers at a time. Okay, so that changes everything. So as soon as you log in on that account, it makes so much more sense now. So the QA are doing it, they're logging in. Does it have a name, C Daddy? Like, is there a name that we should be looking at? I probably can't tell us that, but he's probably not allowed to. But obviously,
I would say, even if he can tell us, don't. There you go.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, that's exactly. Don't put him on an awkward spot to do so. Yeah.
Well, even if he can tell us, just don't. It makes it undermines the event. So.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Next question, please.
Bad Hog says, Bad Hog 1 says, do you guys think that they drop the F8 before SitCon because they've got something bigger, special to be released there?
Yes.
So it's not pull any limelight from whatever, like Squadron 42.
Well, it allowed them, as I said, 15 ships to kind of get out there. They had this as well, so it allows them to sell it there and spread them out a bit. It allowed them to drop it on the birthday because normally that's when CitizenCon is. It's on the birthday. I think, from memory, Algared, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had to put it back because something else was booked on the same day. They beat them to the booking,
Possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
From memory?
I don't know. But I do know that they're planning Manchester next year, somewhere around the 10th of October.
There we go. So Sea Daddy's just said, just to keep an eye out for the high priority mission called Running the Gauntlet. And from everything that I've heard, and I think it's been confirmed now, we did mention in the video, once you have the ticket, everyone knows you've got the ticket. So we'll see how it happens there.
Running the Gauntlet, that's the mission you're looking for. That means that the platinum ticket is in play. I guess.
Actually, C Daddy, I guess a follow-up question would be is, do you know roughly how many you guys intend to give away? Like, how rare is that platinum thing going to be? Like, is it 100? Is it 10? Do you know what the kind of base for how many they were planning to give away for? And kind of, I guess the other follow-up would be is, how long do we expect that event to run? Is it for 2 weeks or 3 days? Like, what's the go there? Because there's little key things that they don't put in the marketing material. Like I said, like they said it's underground bunkers for the helmets, but I was getting them above ground, so it's like the information doesn't line up.
I don't
Okay, that's fine,
do
C
not
Daddy.
have
No worries. Don't want to put you in an awkward position. Yeah, so C Daddy
Anyway.
says he can't say, so yeah.
All right, I couldn't read. I don't have that info. Is what I was squinting my eyes to try and read. But
Right.
yep.
Old man
All right,
Harrison
next
is his
question.
monocle. Yep.
Well, when I'm looking on your screen, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, Algared does everything in 48K. I just do it in 2K. So my screen looks
yeah.
like this on his mega. Just so everyone knows, Algared's got like the biggest ultra wide known to man. It's like
it's that big.
it's almost as big as your desk. He's got this really old desk, and it's like huge. So yeah. Anyway,
Just jealousy. Vaston.
oh, the monitor,
we're
yeah,
gonna-
not the desk. The desk I'll leave.
Okay, we're going to try and go a couple of these faster than normal.
Mhm.
Vaston, will Titan be able to walk downstairs? No, it's like a Dalek.
No, I reckon eventually it will be. Yep.
I think so.
They've got to be like Daleks.
If it can't walk, it can roll. Yes, that's what Algared's saying. Yeah, but it can't walk up. It can go down, but not up.
I always like the comic that I saw with the Daleks at the stairs, and the Daleks saying, "Well, that buggers our plan for world domination."
Mm.
And have legs. So, yeah.
Mm.
Also like that in the reboot where the Daleks there, and Rose was laughing at the Dalek down the bottom of the stairs, and it started to levitate. But anyway, so that's that question. So much for fast tracking. Astro Otter, question, CAT or C2? I feel the CAT has lost some use with the new cargo box sizes. What do you think?
CAT. Future modular. So essentially you've got transporting of ships with the C2 and the Hercules series, or transporting of vehicles, all the different modularity that a CAT adds. And you've got to go back and look at all those modules. I would take the CAT. I reckon the CAT, when that comes out, yeah. And the other side,
modules come out, yeah.
And the other side of the Hercules is a Liberator.
Yep.
So,
What are your thoughts, Space?
I think today I'm taking the C2 every time because larger cargo pods, the ability to move vehicles, the ability to move snub ships, a bunch of awesome stuff.
Flies better as well.
C2. Oh my god, it flies like an arrow. Like it flies way too good for how big
it
that thing
flies it flies better than a Cutlass, believe it or not. That's crazy.
Yeah. It flies amazing. But then I think as modularity comes in the game, I think we can't really overstate how awesome that ability is going to be. So once that's in game, sure, I think CAT is reasonable. But until then, C2 all the way for me.
Well, even for me and Algared have talked about this a little bit at length, and it's hard to analyze. But you've got your Galaxy with that one big module, but then you've got multiple smaller modules. What is better, the flexibility of multiple smaller ones, or the pure mass of what you can do with one large one?
And with the Galaxy,
there's no perfect solution there, is there?
And with the Galaxy,
I think that's a good trade-off.
It really is unique, because when you look at the cargo module of a Galaxy versus the current CAT, their cargo capacity is exactly the same. And so you really are looking at those ships as being the same in terms of what they can do, but one's got a single big module, the other's got lots of smaller modules. And so
very cleverly designed, because the other part of it too, Algared, that you and I have talked about too, is the command module, which is a fixed ship that you can only have that one, but it's essentially almost got the abilities of a Connie, but without all the cargo bay and the Merlin, but in a very tight, short, neat package. But then when you go over to the Galaxy, it's your choice of a snub. You get to pick which one goes in there. So it becomes a bit so it's almost like they both have this yin and yang component. So it's the Galaxy gets a modular snub and multiple modular snubs that it can pick, where the command module is fixed, but then it switches when it comes to the extra modules. So they are very much a yin and yang of each other, which is I love pure bliss of the design. Tudos, tip my hat to whoever came up with the Galaxy, because it is very much very cleverly designed to go with the Caterpillar.
And certainly when you initially looked at it, you went, nah, but you'd look at it and go, nah. But then when you do that comparison, you actually see they really do dovetail nicely together in terms of role and purpose and all of that. And that's the type of thing you want to see, I think.
Yeah, I won't commit to a Galaxy until I know what the Caterpillar is going to have, until what the final modules are for that Galaxy, right? But like, I was really tempted by that Galaxy. And apparently they didn't sell the best either. You know, it wasn't considered the most popular ship. That's just what I've been told. But whether that's true or not is another, you know, that'll come out in the interest of time. But I haven't been interested in a ship like that for quite a while because it was so close to the Caterpillar.
Yeah.
And like Algared, I do like RSI as well, as a manufacturer.
I did buy one. There you go.
Yeah, you bought the kit, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, no one knew.
I did buy the kit.
Yeah. But again,
Okay.
oh, go ahead. No, you're trying to do it.
Yeah,
quick.
I was just saying that I needed I needed a response ship, so that's why I got the Galaxy. Well, I CCU'd to it.
Again, that's what I was going to kind of talk to. Why would I get that when I've got an Endeavour? Why would I get that when I know it's not the biggest refinery ship? Why would I get that when I know it's not the biggest manufacturing ship? And what's the last module? Cargo. Why would I get that when I've already got a better Edgeman?
Yeah.
I
just needed the carrier.
Yeah.
But I do think it's probably a better hospital ship than the Apollo in the long run.
That's to be determined because you've got all that extra ship to go with that, where the Apollo is just the hospital part. So again,
but the other side is the Galaxy has a tier 1 bed, has a tier 2 bed, has a tier 3 bed, whereas the Apollo you got to do the which one am I going to?
But it's smaller, less staff.
Yep.
Again, every cool thing about these designs is every ship seems to have its place. Like another example is the refinery. There are 2 large refineries and 6. I don't have enough fingers. 6 small ones in the Expanse. But what's the benefit there? This can do more things, varied things, where this is doing large quantities of just the same thing. So you can even see there in the design process, like, how is that going to all go down? Does that mean the one in the middle has like 3 mediums? Like, and how does that work? And what happens with the Capital? Does Capital have everything? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see in the interest of time. But you get where I'm going with this, that there are strengths and weaknesses to everything. Even just between those 2, you can already see that in refinery. And I do think the way they've kind of designed this, it's clever enough to show that every ship in every category has a place. And that's what I love about this game, right? If you just want to get that ship, it will have its place and it will have the thing that it does. So again, you can have a Reclaimer working against a Vulture and it makes sense. But again, there's a reason why me and Algared recommend the bigger ones, because of value for your money, right?
Especially when you look at the Endeavour and the Crucible.
Yep.
So,
anyway, next question. That's why we own down economy. Right, go Algared.
Next question. Yep. Do you think when Squadron 42 returns to the store, we will see different releases? Now, for example, a standard packet for $49.99
could be
a
all
deluxe packet for $79.99 and a collector's edition for $149.99.
All a possibility, all coming at CitizenCon. Absolutely. I think we'll see a price increase. I think all of that's possible. SpaceTech, I'll chuck that off to you. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that we'll likely see like the super collector's editions and stuff, like $150 or anything like that. I think we're going to end up seeing closer to the release date. I think it's just I think the optics of releasing $150 collector's editions, if it's like over a year away, aren't great. But yeah, I think having those options available eventually is inevitable. I think we will definitely see them.
I've just realized, Algared, they're going to bring out an edition that's above the editions you and I got, and then we get shafted on postage again because they changed the postage thing.
Look,
I can see it now, because you and I are going to want the best edition. I know what you and I like, and they're going to drop one above what you and I got. I guarantee it, like the black box edition or something.
I originally had 4 frames, so the idea of 4 boxes. I want all 4 boxes because each one had a different picture on it.
I don't remember 4, but I remember a green and a silver. Was there any others other than
different pictures? There were 4 different frames for the pictures.
No, they voted on it, and they voted the ship for the box was the Constellation. So she had 4 prototypes that she did, and then they voted on them, but there was only 2 final ones, and that was a green box and a silver box.
But I could see them doing a red and a gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
Platinum, a gold. Yep. But I want all the boxes, and I can remember. I've got a Constellation pack because I can remember talking to Chelsea and asking, "Hey, I'd like all the packs." And the idea was, look, but the upgrade would be this, and I know that maybe not a possibility, but yeah, I expect them to do.
our mod just a lemming saying Squadron 42 Roberts edition. I will change that slightly and say Squadron 42 Chris Rockets edition. I think that'll be a missed opportunity. Sorry.
Anyway,
Me and Algared have talked about different names of different developers and their alter ego, and the one that we came up for Chris was Chris Rockets. So yeah. Anyway,
Wombalissimo. He's wombling everywhere. You don't think server meshing fits in panel 1 on the schedule?
let me go have a look real quick. Possibly does. Schedule day 1. Shaping the universe from pixel to persistent universe, everything in between. Doing a showcase on the power and depth of the Star engine and enabling this. Yes, it does. Technically, yes, it does. It does fit in there. Because it's all encompassing of the entire engine, and yep, it does.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised to see a specific
one for server
thing
meshing, though.
about,
Yeah,
and even talking, what that means for jump points and all the rest of it. But yeah. Next question is for you, Space, and it's from Hollington. What are your favorite ships?
Well, first ship ever has to be up there. So the 100i, I love that thing, even though it's not the best of ships on paper, but I do love it. And then it's got to be the Eclipse as well, which is why I'll forever be jealous of anyone who owns that Best in Show white skin for it. God, it's so good looking.
We're just green.
Anyone that's not watching, we're just smiling and laughing. No, gotta be honest with you though, the new skin that dropped, that Meridian skin for it, I would say is actually better than that white skin. In true honesty, it looks, except out of the 4 ships that went on, the Eclipse looks so good with those metallic angles. It does
look really good.
Really good. Yeah, we did. We looked at it together. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, it was.
Also, I will give an honorable mention to the Perseus. It's such a terrible value ship, but I'm a sucker for Dorito ships, and it just looks so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Luminalia has a question for SpaceTech. M50 or versus Fury, who wins?
Ooh, they fly super differently, so I'd say definitely test out both of them. If you don't like the way like most ships in the verse fly today, you're probably going to want to try the Fury. The M50 flies like most of the other ships that we have today that are racers, so just different strokes for different folks, I'd say. So just try out both of them, I'd say.
So Stengun on Twitch says Steel Edition. Has to be done. Has to be the best edition that Algared wants to buy. It will sell like hotcakes. Yes, and it comes with a Cutlass Steel. That would just be the icing on the cake, because Algared would have to buy the best edition. That would be hilarious. I would laugh my ass off.
I will hate you if you do that.
Well, it's a steelbook edition. It comes with a Cutlass Steel. It makes so much sense.
And I'll impersonate Gollum at that point. Roberts, I hate you forever. Anyway, next one.
Yeah, but I can see you there going, my precious.
Right. Mark Reisner has a question. Isn't the fighter ship balancing totally broken now with the F8C?
No,
Nope.
Not really, because again, it's how they move as well. So it's kind of like what SpaceTech and I said earlier about someone in a light fighter will beat you. And the other thing is, no matter how good the ship, you've got to accumulate for that pilot as well. You know, like if I put Moist Noodle in an Aurora, and I put my Algared or myself or someone that's not good at the game in an F8C, I'll probably wipe the floor with them, because they just know things and they play it more, and they are generally, even if they've trained to the same level, it's like you get an Olympic athlete, it will just be better because he's at that level. So yeah, there's no accounting for skill. That's the other part of it.
And I always go back to thinking about the early days of Arena Commander, where people would go out and they'd take the Hornet, the Super Hornet, because it was the beast ship and it was the kill all ship. It could do everything. And I can remember watching and seeing Aurora pilots go out there, and they were good pilots, and they just wiped the floor. They just absolutely caned the other ships. So, yeah, it happens. Next question, Lady Space Patrol. Do you remember that CIG was personally working on capes. I think he was more working on the material flow. And
Yes,
how materials
that's what it
work.
was.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see those at CitizenCon? Is one of those outfits what look like Lando's outfit in Star Wars the product of Chris Roberts' two hands? Chris Roberts does lots of coding and stuff. I know. I think I can recall when we were talking to Sandy, she was saying one of the things he likes to do is
Yep.
get his hands dirty and do coding, and that's his hobby. That's the thing he likes. That's how he chills out. One of the ways he chills out.
I can tell you, the thing I picked up on very quickly when I interviewed Chris was just how passionate he is. Like, his passion just absolute exudes through how he talks. And he it's the same thing with Sandy, like how we're talking about how Sandy really wanted to make people feel special. That he's exactly the same. Like, his words to me, I think his very final words to me was, "Don't buy any more spaceships. You've brought enough. You don't need to buy more spaceships. Just get other new people. Get other new people into the game." That was like the last thing he said to me, and that's kind of what I've done. And everything we do here is to help people is just based on the same type of feeling he gave. Like, he doesn't want to rip people off. He doesn't want people to lose their ship with insurance. Like, that's why he's kind of came out and said, look, if you spend money on my game, you're not going to lose your ship, because he's a decent damn human being. And at the end of the day, that's what shines through. He's a decent human being, and Sandy's the same. And I'm going to be honest, and Algared will say this, I'm sure, they are decent human beings, and that's half the reason why me and Algared have put in and done all this time and what we've done. And I have no doubt a lot of the earlier backers did exactly the same. Would you agree with that, Algared?
100%. And my experience, I have met Chris and Sandy when in PAX Australia. I've watched them interact with each other in the green room in the backstage, and the way they interacted with each other in when people weren't necessarily watching them, and the way they interacted with people helping out, and the way they interacted with on stage. There was no difference. It was just what we see is what we get, and it was just fair dinkum. So yeah.
Do you want to say for our international audience what fair dinkum means, just so they're not?
True blue.
You just gave another Aussie one straight off the. It's genuine. Is genuine, the word?
100% genuine.
Yeah.
No guile. No fake. Not fake. Just 100%.
Yeah. Lord Holling, what's his name? Hellington says in Twitch, he's no executive EA Unity CEO. So the guy that you hear about Unity, Algared? What happened there?
I had heard there was some. He came out and said some stuff.
He ended up retiring instantly. Retiring instantly means he was fired. Because if you retire, you do it over. There's a lead up to it, and like the guy at Sony's retiring, and he doesn't to next year. Like halfway through next year. So when you retire, there's a grace period. He's instantly retiring, which means he was fired. So basically, he's been let go. But he's one of the worst CEOs that they've ever existed. And by the way, he would have been back at EA back when when they turned Chris down. So he's probably the guy that turned Chris down, believe it or not. Ironically funny. Yeah, full circle.
Thank you, Sandy. Again, I'll just say it. Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next question. Okay. We've still got so we're past the time here, Algared. But if you need to go, you can go. But we've probably got 15 questions. Try and
push through and do these quick.
All right, go for it.
What feature locked behind Squadron 42 are you most excited to see finally cross over into the PU?
Star map.
Yeah. Believe it or not, like good UI.
Yeah. Again, me and Space Tomato said at the start of the year, it's the only thing I want. It's the biggest quality of life thing I want because it just drives me batshit. So yeah, Star map. Algared, yourself?
Working AI.
Well, that's true.
Ooh, yeah,
that's a good one too.
That's a good one.
Okay, Astro Otter question: Would you like to Would you like to see an option to be able to have a flare slot on armor and ships to put on your Spectrum badges?
That's a good idea, actually. That's a really good idea. Because it just basically essentially means they're pre-approved kind of logos and stuff. Yeah, that's a kind of cool idea. I like that.
I would like an area on our armor to wear medals. You know, like you find the medals and be able to put them on and yep.
I have
awesome.
the worst visual of you, Algared, because I know you like I do, and I just see him. All right, so one of the things you're going to know about Algared is he hates to run everywhere. And it's one of the worst things in games, because I'm trying to get shit done for a show, and Algared's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, Algared, run. And he's like, no. And I'm like, I have to make him run, right? And now I see him with his, he likes to wear the kind of admiral suits, right? So now I can see him with the admiral suits, an admiral hat, and then they're like all these, my nightmare. And then he's strutting, you know, walking through the Lorville like this, because that's what he does. And it just pissed me off because he knows it's a pet hate of mine, and it annoys me slightly. Anyway, next question.
But I also hate people running everywhere. I do struggle with that.
Well, you're getting your wish, Algared, because if you run now, you get thirsty in 5 seconds. You know.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so done that one. Lady Space Patrol, do you think the buzz around the G12 and X1 suggests the 600 rework might finally, or actually have not been shelved, or is that just wishful thinking?
What was that? The what rework? Sorry, the 600i rework.
So the buzz around the G12 and X1 suggests that the 600 rework might actually not have been shelved, or is that just wishful thinking?
No, it's wishful thinking because they've got multiple staff doing multiple things.
Yep. I think the buzz around the G12 and X1 is that those ships are coming, and
well, it's finishing off older ships on the roadmap. They are some of the last ones left. They are getting rid of like they are kind of going to that thing they said again, doing things they said they were going to do. Get rid of the backlog, so there are less things on the backlog. So all the ships going forward will be straight to flight and stuff like that. And again, they can then sell them at higher amounts of money. You know, so that's good.
And I see Grave Peril. He's saying stolen valor. No, not stolen valor. How can a stolen valor be just wearing a medal of someone like who's that's 100 years old or 200 years old, but it's worn and battered?
We see it we see in Australia right now, don't we? During the Anzacs, Algared, you'll see the grandchild of a war veteran that has passed wearing the medals, and the veterans love that. You know, you'll see this really elderly gentleman walking with their best friend's granddaughter that passed 5-10 years ago because he can't be there. That's what remembrance is. Like, how is that going to go beyond the lives of these people? And that's how it's done. Yeah.
There's a difference from those who pretend to be and those who just do it to honor and remember.
Yeah, if it's a relative, I've got no problem with it. If it's some guy that bought them at an op shop and is wearing them, well, then that's stolen valor. Yeah, but if it's honoring, and some of them will carry a photo or something like that of the person, and stuff like that. So there are genuine people that they're doing it for. They're remembering the person and their sacrifice. So yeah.
So someone's saying that's a definition of stolen valor. Oh well, if that is tough.
I think it's kind of fairly obvious when it's like a 10-year-old girl walking down the road with all these
if your comment was those who pretend to be, and yes, I 100% agree. But if you're saying the stolen valor is just someone who's wearing a medal, that's different.
All right then.
Yeah. Okay. What do you need to see at CitizenCon to feel renewed confidence in the project? Nothing
really. It'll be nice to see. I think we can kind of say that, can't we, Algared? It'll be nice to see Squadron 42 stuff. It'll be nice to see a trailer, and if I really get what I want, I'll get that vertical slice demo.
Yeah, that's fair.
I will say, by the way, I didn't say wearing the uniform.
Sorry, Space, you're saying?
Yeah, I was saying that it would be nice to hear from Tony Z to hear about Quanta again. I think it's been a little bit missing from recent conversation about the PU, and so it doesn't have to be in the game.
But has it updated though? Has it really changed? That's what I would ask. Like, is there anything new for him to share?
Oh, just progress on it. Like, anything along the lines of like, hey, we expect to be seeing it influence, I don't know, ammo prices in the near future or something, you know?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you
Just
that.
like,
Or how they
CPU is coming to life.
how they intend to implement it in stages into the game would be kind of cool too. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, exactly. Even just like here's the plan for how we plan on putting it in the game.
Yep, I'd go with that.
All right. Alexa Newitt says, with all the main items of Squadron 42 being finished, what ship or ships of Squadron 42 are Squadron 42 related are you excited to see come to the PU?
Well, that's the funny thing. The only real one now was the F8 Lightning. That's the thing. Like, that was the one surprise they had, and now they don't have any.
Now it's the Idris, maybe?
I guess the Idris, yeah. Okay, we've got the bigger capitals, the Idris and the Javelin and the...
But, yeah, I think people are going to be... It's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people to see how hard it is to get that thing crewed regularly.
100%.
I think initially, but I think as the player rating system and the AI comes on board, I think that'll change. So,
yeah.
Like one of the things Algared and I have realized is just how we did an episode with morphologists that really opened my eyes to how important AI is, and the second one is that player rating system. Like it is so pivotal that they have both those working at launch, because that if you don't have a way to pull other people in to work on your ships with limited risk, and what I mean by that is if SpaceTech has a 5-star rating and Algared has a 3, I know I'm far less likely to get shafted by SpaceTech than I am by Algared, right? And again, if you're in a really valuable ship and a much bigger ship, you're going to want to buy someone or bring someone on board that has a 5-star rating, because a pirate is not going to earn all that rep, you know, even if he wants to be a spy or whatever like that. If he has to get a 5-star rating and put in all that effort, man, he is going to be a hardcore pirate. Because he would have had to work at that for years to get that, and he's throwing that all away for one event.
Yep. So, all right, next question. I for me, I say it would have been the F8, because that is also, from the shorts we've seen, that is also the ship that Cal Mason flies. And everyone knows that's Paul's favourite character.
I think the other thing we saw from that preview they did one year was the ship bash ships. That'll be kind of cool to see, but they won't be flyable by us. So yeah.
Done. What do you guess we? So this is from Votta und das Schlocken. I'm sorry, I've just butchered your name. What do you guess we will see in terms of exploration and science gameplay? Jump points.
Like soon? Nothing.
I think we'll get a jump point when they drop Pyro. The original plan, they always talk about their plans and people doubt them. The plan was to try and get Pyro for the end of the year with server meshing. Whether we get that or not, because there's been delays and pushes around, let's be honest, maybe we won't get it. And with the track history, maybe won't get it. Was that their intention? Yes, it was, right? And everyone will tell you that have followed this project, they will go, this is the goal for the end of the year, all the way over here. We are aiming for that. Have we ever hit it? No. They've probably never hit it. That's their goal. That's where they're heading, right? So that's where they want to get to. Will they get there? Most likely not. But they're going to try and aim that anyway. And it's the same one that I keep coming back to. There are people out there trying to cure cancer. Are they getting there? No. But are they making progress? Yes, they are.
Yeah. So, yeah. Next question, unless you want to add anything. Lady Space Patrol says, do you think the separation of the replication layer from 3.21x or the introduction of server meshing in 4.0 will necessitate a wipe? Most likely.
I think so. Yep. And I'd expect it to be messy, just like PES.
I expect 4.0 will have a wipe. Will the replication layer for 3.21x have a wipe? Maybe. But I always take the view, expect a wipe with every patch. You know, just get one, you get one. If you don't get one, it's a bonus.
Luminari is saying they got an SC ad on YouTube. Well, that's good to say.
I've been getting this.
Oh,
Yep.
that's good. I haven't got one yet, but I've got
I
YouTube
have-
Premium, so I don't see ads. So yeah.
I have seen a Star Citizen ad on YouTube
Mhm.
for one of our episodes. That was nice.
Good.
But yeah. Anyway, North End Trooper. Do you think we will see remnants of space battles from Squadron 42 lore in the PU? If I go to said system, I should see derelicts scattered about. I expect so.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Absolutely.
Division has another question. How would you like to see racing handled with master modes, and how do you think it will be handled?
I'll defer that to you, SpaceTech. That's your, and then Algared, you can follow up if you want.
Yeah, I think to be very honest with you, I think it will be an afterthought to begin with master modes, and then eventually I think we will end up seeing more specialized let's say settings or components like race shields and things like that, where the game is more balanced in a better spot for combat, and then I think we'll see kind of that trickle down into the way racing is treated. So I think we'll end up seeing, like in regular SCM modes, we'll end up seeing something between that and then Quantum Boost. And that's like, it's going to be like a performance mode or a race mode or something like that. It'll be different than like master modes.
That's
but it will
literally
be,
what I was going to say.
some form of locked mode.
Why don't you just make it a racing mode? Bang, done.
Yep.
Algared?
That's
Yeah.
just having a racing mode as one of the parts of master mode makes sense to me. But,
I was saying to someone the other day, it'd be really cool, like, you know that wheel they use in game? If you could literally go in there and show all the modes that are available in the current thing that you're in. So
And
whether
then
you're
pick
on
like
foot
one.
or in a ship or whatever, you go in there and it's got a list of all the modes. So in a mining ship, it shows the mining modes and whatever. That'd be really cool. Anyway, sorry, Algared.
The other thing is that I do know that there is a group within CIG called CIG, which is the Cloud Imperium Gamers, and they do racing. So,
Oh, yeah.
that group, you know, the fact that there are CIG people who are into racing and into that type of stuff and love racing, and actually have, you know, that they actually have a group that is sanctioned by CIG called CIG, Cloud Imperium Gamers, with their own logo. They will push to have that type of stuff. So, yes. How do I expect them to do it? Hopefully well, and I want it to be good. There you go. Shinobi Trip. Do you think CIG will hold on to the Vandal reworks of the Blade, Glaive, Scythe until Squadron 42 is released now that the precedent has been set for Squadron F8C? Yes, no, maybe. Doesn't matter.
It's physically in Squadron 42. I'd say more than likely, yeah. Could they sell them? It would spur sales though, Algared, wouldn't it? If they did release them, they're already out.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I'd
Well,
agree.
the Blade,
Go either way there.
the Blade and the Glaive you can buy at certain times of year anyway.
Yeah. So what we're saying though is when you update the skins, wouldn't that push those sales forwards more? It would, wouldn't it?
yeah,
I think
Yeah.
so.
but
Yeah.
if you've already got them, you've already got them. So.
You might even end up seeing them as part of a package with Squadron,
Yeah,
the higher
them,
tiers.
You might see them in that type of package as well.
Vandal edition. Oh, I like it. I
Get
like
all
it
of
very
that.
much. Yeah, like
Get it.
and it glows like the it's got a red LED in it, it pulses.
Mhm. Yeah, and has a roboty voice. Yeah.
Andy
Lady
Serkis saying something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lady Space Patrol has a question. Do you think the separation of the of real life requires months of testing in PTU? If not, doesn't that mean server meshing and 4.0 by end of year? If yes, 4.0 Q1, Q2 next year.
I think these are optimistic timelines. I think yes, replication layer will likely require months of testing in
Repetition
PTU.
layer, sorry, not real life.
Yeah, but even if that wasn't the case, I think Q1, Q2, 4.0 seems unlikely to me. I think it's going to require a lot of testing, unless they want a repeat of 3.18, which I don't think they do.
They're talking about preparing for that, though, haven't they? They're talking about the way they want to bring in. Was it a chat? There was a chat or a server or something. I can't remember during the week. I read it very briefly. So they are learning from their mistakes, and like all humans, that's a great thing.
I think the changes that we see in the PTU system with the waves, I think are indicative of that. I think they didn't get the information that they needed to for 318,
Yep.
and so this is their response to that.
I 100% agree. Like I remember people complaining and saying, "Why is this such a mess?" And I said, "Look, they opened it up to the whole community on PTU, and they still didn't get enough people to test it, so they put it live."
Yep.
If you're testing and your tester's saying, "Yes, it's working, it's working, it's working, it's working," and everything you've got is saying, "We need more metric double test this," and you still can't get them. What do you do?
And that's the problem. We're dealing with gamers, and we're not dealing with testers. So yes, we are testers for the game. That is a part of this early access alpha state. But at the end of the day, people want to play a game. It's just not there to play at the moment. It's still in its infancy, unfortunately. We'll get there.
Okay, question from Voodoo Child is: was the Crucible Scarab designed around the smaller Hornet or the Super Hornet?
Smaller.
The Matrix the Matrix of Lies has the Lightning and Super Hornet at the same measurement. It was based around the Hornet, and the Hornet model they were using was a smaller metric, and so that's why we know it's got to grow. My understanding is the Hornet and the Super Hornet both fit on the same pad and same hangers place. So,
and we've kind of theorized too, haven't we, Algared, is since things went to metrics, we actually think they'll just make it a small pad, aka an S2.
Yeah.
And it makes, and you've kind of seen that design come through in like the Odyssey and the new Polaris and things like that. So that kind of shows you how much that shit could grow. And I honestly, it's kind of things we've been saying for a while. And I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't put it outside. Don't take this as me saying gospel, but I would hope they retroactively go back to other ships, right? So an example would be the Carrack. I would love them to go back to the Carrack and to metrics that as well. So that would become an S1, right? Now, as soon as that becomes an S1, there are certain ships that can land on that and resupply that work. It'll be the same as the Galaxy. The Galaxy has an S1 in the back right that. So that would be the same thing with the Carrack. Now, does that mean you can land an Aurora? Yes, you can. Can you refuel an Aurora? I believe you cannot. Right? So that is still in line. So as long as they work everything to metrics, I think that's golden, because it just it simplifies everything across the board. And you know all those questions that you and I dread, Algared, does this fit in the back of bullshit ship, blah, blah, blah. It removes all that, because you just instantly learn the metrics and you instantly know
size 1,
will
size
it fit?
2, size 3, size 4.
So,
but
and I think that's going to become commonplace, because it just makes the game easier to learn. You don't need to learn all these little bespoke things, because it all makes sense.
So,
Shempasta, what the hell? Where the hell have you been? I haven't seen Shempasta in months. Sorry, I just had Shempasta used to be here every week, and now Shempasta. What happened to you, dude? You fell off the earth. I haven't seen you in like a year. Wow, nice to see you, man. Right, good to see you. Sorry, that really surprised me. Nice to see you, Shempasta.
Gotchas says, is the F7 series obsolete now?
No, it's a medium fighter.
Certainly in lore, you see the F8 is kind of on the big fleet carriers, and it's slowly trickling down. So as it's replaced the other fighters, they've been moved down to the less, the more background areas and all the rest of it. So you'll see it trickling through. But yeah,
we can answer his question though. So Shempasta says, "Will we see persistent hangers this year?" SpaceTech, we'll put off to you first.
So in that ISC, we saw the it was like 3 weeks ago, we saw their intentions for hangars.
Yep.
And I believe that's like actively being developed and actively being worked on. So I'm hopeful for 3.21 release to have them, or at the latest 3.22.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd say like late this year to early. Actually, development will probably slow down at the end of this year. So yeah, probably early next year, I'd say, is your best bet.
So SpaceTech, paraphrasing, just said soon TM.
Yeah.
Soon TM.
Right. Algared, do you want to add to that, or next question?
No, soon TM.
Yep.
Next question. Gotchas has another question. Will CIG sell the Scythe IE ticket again? Probably not.
We brought that up in the video. I think it's time that you can sell the Xperia variant. I would totally not have a problem with that because you've already sold the other one. It stuffs with the black market, and let's be honest, that thing's like ridiculous now. What is it, over 3,500 was the last time I saw it. Any of those things that are on the black market that are ridiculous, re-release them. Fix your issues with them. Like we said with the F7A upgrade, the whole issue with that was because they pitched it at one country's veterans. It needs to be pitched globally.
Look, and I honestly don't really have an issue. I'd love it to be for a veteran award thing for, legacy for Australians. I'd love that.
Yep.
But am I going to be peeved off if they only sell that ship for VA? No.
Not really. But
what I am going to be happy about is that
you can see why people did get pissed off, though, right?
Hell yeah.
You're just going to be able to see why, yeah.
But I'm more peeved off that people bought that and then scalp it for
yes, even more.
Gross.
Yeah.
That
was it 450 was the last price I saw on that thing, and it cost $18 US.
Yeah,
so, I hate it. I hate it so much. Anything they can do to destroy gray market sales is good in my book.
Yeah. Well, this is a debate me and Algared have had: is like, how good is the grey market for CIG? Like, how many extra ships have they sold because of the grey market? But at the end of the day, those extra dollars, so over $18, CIG don't get those. So at some point, isn't it better for them to re-release that? And therefore, even if they're only getting $18 from everyone, that's $18 that goes towards funding the game. So rather than going that into some person else's pocket.
In that scenario, it's $18 that's going to a Veterans Association as opposed to...
Yeah, exactly.
No. And the way I look at it especially is that scalping always reflects poorly on the company, regardless if it's their fault or not. Like when NVIDIA graphics cards were getting scalped, it looked bad on NVIDIA. When scalping always hurts the actual producer, and it never, in my eyes, it never helps their reputation. So I think, anything they can do to hurt that is good.
So Grave Peril's got 2 of those F7 upgrades. He's asking how much they're worth. Yeah, so the last time they originally cost $18, and the last time I saw them was $450. But we've been saying for years, eventually at some point that'll come back around and they'll sell it again, right? Hopefully.
I've always argued just keep it on the market. Yeah. Just sell it. Keep it on the market. Doesn't matter if it only sells 10 or 20 in a year.
If it's year round, why not? And just all donations go to. You could even have a drop down menu, and you choose which one it goes to. You could just have a whole bunch of different military ones and just go, which one would you like this to go to?
You keep it on the market, and this year it goes to this one. Next year it goes to that one.
I do that.
Even if it just stayed as a VA, it was on the market the whole year round. It wouldn't bother me at all.
Remember when I first brought up that idea of content creator skins? The first thing I said was you could have content creator skins. So you could buy a board gamer skin, and he chooses which charity all those profits go to. But the same thing, you could have an Inforunners skin, and me and Algared would work out who we want that to go to, and it'd be great because you'd get all these people that back that content creator, and they back a charity. It's a win-win. So you've got all this in-game promotion of the content creator. It looks good for CIG from a PR perspective, and it's great for charity because all that money is raised. And what does it take? Because honestly, you're essentially talking about their logo on a ship, and probably so let's look at Board Gamers and ours for an example. Board Gamers would probably be a yellow skin with his little smiley face logo somewhere on the ship, and it'd be the same with the Inforunners one. It would probably be that blue that we have, Algared, with the little running guy on the side.
Yep,
the running man. Yeah. Well, we call that the running man, by the way, if you guys don't know what we call it, but that's what we call it. And I don't know. It seems simple enough to me. I don't know. Would you guys want to buy skins like that? And I go, yellow's a bit crazy, blue's a bit crazy, but it supports charity. And I think that was a really good idea. And I don't know if they'll end up doing it. They may not. I don't know. But charity is something that I think is always good humanitarian efforts. So I'm for that. Anyway.
All right. Next question. And I'll get you to answer this one first, Space. You may not be able to. But it's, do you think the F8, and this is from Officer Rondog, do you think the F8C will fit in a Polaris hangar?
Yeah, actually,
Absolutely.
I looked at the dimensions and it does fit. Yep.
There you go.
Also, shout out to Officer Rondog. He's a really good photographer / videographer for Atmo.
Okay. Well, yeah. Honestly, again, look at metrics.
Yep.
That's one of the advantages of the Polaris. You can now
And-
say it's metric and just look at it and know it's going to be.
This is the annoying thing about the Q&A that I found. Star Citizen CIG have previously said we're using metrics now for our basing, and then the QA comes out for BF8. How big is this in size? Oh, it's a small pad, same as a. Tell me the pad size. That's all you need to do.
Yeah,
Tell me the pad
and
size.
they deliberately picked ships that were annoying because they have changed pad sizes. Some of those. So I think they picked the Warden, which is a ship that's right between two pad sizes. And what was the other one?
I can't remember the other one, but they were in that spectrum. I think it may be. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and guess. But it was frustrating in terms of, okay, you've said small, but the ships were at the large end and they were kind of.
Just
If
use
you don't know, just say we don't know.
S1 through to S6, because again, when you say small, medium, you have internal pad sizes versus external pad sizes. So we know in the past that they've stuffed up and they have different. It's kind of like what they have with the tiered bed system, where they released it backwards. So internally they call it different to what they call it externally. It's the same thing. So now they've got this new one with 1 through 6. They should just start using that. It makes it simplified. Everyone's then on the same page. Blah blah blah.
Now, I know with the bed system, the way they announced it was the way that medicos rate them, but it's not the way players think of them, and that's the issue there. But yeah, so yes, I think you just look at the metric, and yeah. Slave Gunner says has a question. Not sure if you guys already covered it. What is your stance regarding CIG selling the F8C and the impact on Squadron 42? We have covered it. And I think if you also have a look at our buyer's guide for the F8C, I think we cover that as well. So go watch that video. It's a lot quicker and easier than watching the whole stream.
Yeah, I think long story short, it removed a bit of the speciality reward for Squadron 42. We'll leave it at that.
Yep.
All right. I did see a question I'm going to sneak in on our chat with Red Samurai. Is the F78 worth buying?
F78?
Oh, it's the F8 Lightning, sorry.
I was going to F78, man, that thing, that's like 2,000 years in the future again.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
The F8A, is it, or the F8C, is it worth buying?
It's an individual thing.
Not in my opinion.
Yeah, from our buyer's guide, it's a fighter. You can get a Corsair, a Connie, or an MSR. It does far much more. $25 more. You can get a Redeemer that is a gunship. For me, it's not. I didn't buy one. Algared didn't buy one. That kind of tells you. Algared was given his because of the amount of money he's put into the game.
Because it's insane, but yes.
But
will I buy one if I get a gold ticket? I don't know.
No, we won't let
don't.
you get one because you can just take the skin off, you crazy madman.
Yep. But yeah. So, is it worth buying? $260 cash, $300 credit. That's a lot.
I think we're gonna have to find you a wife, Algared, because she's gonna curb your spending. Yeah,
beat me on the head.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. We'll find a Mrs. Hurston for you, and she'll. No, I'm spending it on shoes. No more spaceships.
Yeah. Okay, so so that one. Let's have a look. I'm just going to scan through because we've got 2 more questions. Okay, does CIG oppose the grey market? No, they don't like it, but they don't necessarily oppose it. There is a danger, and Lemmings Lemming, you're evil. Lemmings just says, if I want a golden ticket, it's mine. He's got 9.
Yep.
You are evil. That's all I'll say. So they haven't said they don't like it. They don't plug it. So there's that aspect, but they don't shut it down. But if you have something that has been stolen, or if the danger of the grey market is a backer, someone could say, "Oh, my account was stolen," and if it can be, if it can be proven it's stolen or otherwise, and stuff was sold on the grey market, then that stuff is returned.
Yep.
And if you bought something on the grey market, you lose it.
I had a friend for whom that happened to. It was like they bought like a Connie or something like that for like half its melt, and then it got just yoinked straight out of their account.
Yeah. Now, if you've spent half the value of melt value on a ship because it was sold at a discount, that's not as bad as, say, if you buy an F8, an F7A skin for $320 and someone says, "Oh, it was stolen," and that gets taken back. So,
Yep. Not worth it.
So there are dangers with the grey market, and that is why if you do use it, use a reputable deal. Reputable.
On Star Citizen trades where a lot of this happen, you can actually see the number of trades people have done. So again, it's a reputation system. It actually shows you how many trade. So if someone's going, "Oh, I've got this most amazing thing and it's half price," and they have 0 trades, you're an idiot. It is clearly fake. And the other thing I'll say to you is always use PayPal and always pay the fees, because then at the very worst you'll get your money back in 30 days. Right? I've had people try to scam me, and I've always got the money back because I paid the PayPal fees. That's my biggest piece of advice that I can give you. PayPal and pay the fees, because then you'll never lose it.
Yep. So, but yeah, so there is that aspect. Okay. Yes, it is a nod to Running Man, our Running Man. Sorry, it is a nod to Stephen King, the Running Man. Okay, second last question on our list is how many occasions, and this is from TruthSeeker69, on how many occasions and in what ways have CIG mentioned ways to upgrade an Idris P to an Idris M?
Essentially, you've got to, like any ship that has components, they've essentially said you've got to probably rep grind to get the laser. Would you imagine this, Algared? We are speculating here a bit, but you earn components. So if you want to do stuff with Cousin Crows, I have no doubt at some point you'll actually have to have a bit of rep with Cousin Crows to buy the better items, or pay a premium to do so. So at the very least, it'll bring prices down, will it not, Algared?
From my memory, from the Idris P to an Idris M, it was always, you'll be able to do it in game. It would be a shipyard job. So you take it to an Aegis, or Anvil Aegis, I always forget which one it doesn't, but you take it to one of their, you take it to an Aegis shipyard, and they would do the upgrade for you, but it would take time and money, credits. So yeah. And the last question on here is from Swagasaurus Rext. Any speculation or noise about the Liberator production?
None.
Not what I've heard.
None.
I've heard.
I think we answered this question last week, and I basically said, essentially, you would expect more Anvil ships to work at the same time, much like we've got multiple RSI ships to work at the time. The only other big ship we kind of know from Anvil, well, there's 2 of them, the Carrack and the Carrack's done, and the Crucible. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some announcements soonish, or whenever they're planning to do them, around Anvil. I'd expect 1 or 2 more ships, wouldn't you, Algared, to make that a bit more palatable to work on 3 or 4 at the same time. And they don't have to be large. They could be medium. We just have to wait and see, because right now it's very clearly there's RSI shit going on. There's 5+, the Apollo's in there, that's in production as well. The Polaris is in production. You've got the Galaxy, the Perseus. There's a shit ton of them. Quite frankly, it's clearly obvious that that's a test bed for as they roll out the new ship teams for things them to work on. So they've started with RSI and they'll roll into other things down the line. And quite honestly, there just isn't enough big Anvil ships there. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 questions have popped up on YouTube. There are a couple of others I missed, but these 2 I can see, so I'll do them, and then we're done.
Yep.
Do you think, this is from Yamatsu, and they say, do you think the new hacking mission is misleading or mislabeled, since it really is just a button click and shooting people while they market it as a hacking?
We haven't seen the gameplay yet. How can you make any comment when we haven't seen what it is?
I think there was an ISC where they showed it off a little bit, right? But but it's not like anything complicated. There's no hacking minigame.
They showed the art and that for like the different ways you could put the keys in, but they never actually showed the gameplay of the hacking. So all they've shown is essentially it's the same as what we already have, where you're putting a key in or a card in or a glorified USB stick, but they never showed the actual gameplay of the hacking. They've never showed that. Yeah. So you can't, until we see that gameplay part, you can't comment. I just can't comment.
They did indicate that there were, rather than just putting the key and waiting, there'd be other areas where you would have to move and adjust and monitor different aspects.
Well, they did.
What was going on? So
they did talk about that in one of the ICs really recently. You had to manage the heat. Yep. Remember? So that is a part of it. So there might be, but that was them being hacked back.
That was right.
That was
the company trying to hack back. So you're trying to manage it while you're doing the hack. So it's a time factor plus managing the other aspects. But it's not really breaking in and cracking the code.
So essentially what we're talking about is the other side of it. So you might be turning the heat up to try and destroy servers, as an example.
Yep.
We just don't know. Again, we have to wait and see.
And the other question was from Red Samurai. And no, I'm not taking any more of you sneak questions in, guys. Do you think the reason CIG sold the F8C was because their sales are falling short this year? I believe they made 1.8 million so far from this sale.
Definitely a way to get about that 8% shortfall. But at the end of the day, they don't have to beat every year previously. Yep. They don't have to, right?
All they're going to do is pay their bills.
And again, 15 ships ready to go. The front end of this year was not loaded. Go back and look at Invictus. It was the shit. Look, I'm going to be honest, the shittiest lineup we've ever seen. We had a Fury snub that had no quantum ability at all or warp jump drive, and 2 vehicles. That is by far the worst sale I've ever seen of a kind of, the biggest sales. Algared, I think you would agree with me on that.
Yeah,
SpaceTech?
Like in terms of
it was a poor lineup.
So there was only small ships, and so you'd expect if there's no big ships and you've only got small ships, the profit is not going to be as big. But what you'd hopefully see is it can be maintained more, especially when those ships went straight to flyable. So
and it's not enticing to the whale crowd at all. They, even the Galaxy, right? That was a $380 ship that most people didn't blink at. It's like, well, I've got a Banner Merchantman. Like I said, you heard my responses to that before. It's the same thing. It has to be something that entices you. And that's why you get really stupid marketing like what happened with the Odyssey, right? Because they were like, oh, I am a marketing person. And on paper, it says, from the poll Algared, 75% of people want an Explorer ship. So we'll sell this as an Explorer. When, yes, it is technically an Explorer, but it's a Surveyor. They should have, a horse is a horse. Sell it as a horse, and people will buy it that want a horse, Anyway, I'm ranting, and that's me ranting, because normally Algared's the one that I can't shut up about the Odyssey. So I just get really pissed at marketing. Anyway, sorry. Shut up now.
Yep. And that is our last question.
All right. I will not shut up again, because now I've got to talk. SpaceTech, where can people find you on the interwebs, and what do you do?
Yeah, so I do a lot of content surrounding the game today as it plays today. So if you're ever curious about, I want a Cutlass, do I want a Freelancer, do I want the C2, M2, A2, stuff like that? What should I be spending my time grinding out in game today? Yep. How does the game play today? New ships that come out, whether you should be getting them, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's I can kind of be like a resource there. You can find me at space-tech on YouTube, or just search for SpaceTech Star Citizen on YouTube. And on Twitch, I am space__tech. That's very good.
We did a Fix My Fleet with you too, didn't we? If I'm remembering correctly, or am I?
We have not.
No.
Yet. And the last time we talked, my fleet was 1 ship, my starter ship, and let's just say it has not stayed the same.
We are a bad influence. Yeah. Well, we might visit that down the road. Me and Algared are looking for a few more people for Fix My Fleets before the expo. I think we've got 1 or 2 on the card. So if you are interested in some help, please reach out via Discord. There is a full dedicated Discord channel to Fix My Fleet, and the mods and anyone in there that find good ones, they tend to pop them up to me and Algared to have a look at. And yes, there's some couple of good ones come through. So yeah, if you need help, there are plenty of people out there that are now, I guess we call them educated, Algared, in the ways of CCUs and helping you fix your fleet. So it's not just us that gives our opinions in anymore. So the more opinions is a good thing, isn't it, Algared? We don't see that as a bad thing at all.
That's right. It just says that people tend to know the routine. And sometimes some people have come to us and said, "Hey, help me fix my fleet." I said, "Yeah, we'll organise a time." And then by the time we managed to arrange it, it's been fixed because everyone else has given them feedback, and they're like, "Yep."
It allows people to have an opinion outside just mine and yours, and that they'll have people that have completely valid opinions. Because again, it's all about trying to customize it to that person, and you got to take yourself out of it, and that's a really hard thing to do. You've got to kind of put yourself in that other person's shoes, and that's what I really like about the Fix My Fleet is really tailoring it to that one person's needs and desires. Yeah. All right.
And Benjamin Hannah, it's lovely to see you here as well.
All right, I've got to get my act together. I've got to go to Twitch and find something to raid real quick. But Algared, do you want to tell people about what we're planning to do for this weekend? The episode real quick? Why I get
I'm trying to remember what we're trying to do this weekend, because
what do you expect at CitizenCon? It's our annual show just before CitizenCon.
All right, so what do we expect for CitizenCon? That will be what we'll do. I do know we were also talking about doing beginner's guides as to how to do stuff.
That's before point. AIE though. Yep.
So we want to get that done. We still have a couple of episodes that have been suggested by at least a certain person in chat who I like to tease about it. And they know who they are. And we'll eventually try and get those done as well. But we'll try and get and hopefully a Fix My Fleet, if we can line that up. So there's several things we've got in the works to try and get done this weekend. And what you really want to do is, if you like what we do and like to encourage us what you do, like, subscribe, hit the bell for YouTube, do whatever you do on Twitch. And if you really, really like us and want to help us out, there's always the extra mile where you can become a YouTube member or a Patreon supporter. And never expected, but always appreciated.
All right, I'm going to raid Expat Brat. We haven't had an opportunity to raid her in a long while. Always love hanging out with her. She's a rascal like myself. So yeah, enjoy it over there. She does cinematic content in a good thing. She's almost Scottish. I don't think I have a question to ask her. What does a Scottish person get up to in Dubai? That would be what I'd like to know. And tell her I will drop by in a bit when I've wrapped up here. So yeah, Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube.
I know you are, Mario.
YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you, folks.
All right. And there goes Twitch. And they're gone. Right. As for YouTube, thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your questions, bits, bobs, and all that type of things. Look forward to that episode on the weekend. And thank you to the people that go the extra mile on Patreon that are about to appear on the credits. Thank you for joining SpaceTech. It's been great having you. We'll have to get you back again sometime. So he's been SpaceTech. He's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here.
Catch you in the next one. Say goodbye. Yep.
Say goodbye.
He did.